Turn it on and rip the knob off.
Hey guys, welcome back again. Ray Russell here and Steve Eckstad along by my side as we are back for another watch-along, 1996 WCW watch-along. Steve, we just finished doing the Clash 32 not too long ago. Let's hope Super Brawl is just a tad bit better.
One can only hope. I guess there's really only one way to go after that show. Well, that's up. So we'll see.
I wanted to say it can't get any worse, but then I don't want to jinx myself either. Because
it definitely can.
yes. I typically, like the sold out. I think was it sold out 97. One of those sold outs were just atrocious.
Oh Lord, I can't wait for that one.
We're a ways off from there, so let's not worry about it right now. You guys, once again, thank you everyone who subscribes to Patreon.com/WrestleCopia. You must be a member of the All Access tier or higher here to be listening here to this watch-along series as we continue on with the Monday Warfare show. We're in 1996 at Monday Warfare on Twitter. You can follow us there. You can go to WrestleCopia.com to listen to Monday Warfare, or you can go to any of your favorite podcast streaming apps. That's WrestleCopia.com, and you're here at Patreon.com/WrestleCopia for the watch-along of SuperBrawl 96. That's SuperBrawl 6. Those are easy to remember because they started number 1 in 91, so we can just kind of follow along and never get lost. WrestleMania can confuse you.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. There ain't that many of them. What, 11? I think it did get to 11. SuperBrawl 11 Revenge, I think, is the last
SuperBrawl
one,
Revenge, yeah, they had to change the name for whatever reason there. Thank God we never got all the 7 deadly sins or whatever the hell that their plan was there going into 2001.
You ready to talk about that at some point?
Well, fortunately, in a few years, we're going to have no option if the Monday Warfare show continues on. And we did something unique with the Royal Rumble show that we posted as part of the Wrestling Memory Grenade, Royal Rumble 96, which you guys can listen to for free over at the Wrestling Memory Grenade show. But here at Super Brawl, we're doing this on Patreon as usual. And what we did with the Royal Rumble is we did the pre-show. We did the entire full debut free-for-all, which included a pre-show match with Triple H and Duke the Dumpster Droese fighting over the numbers 1 and 30 in the Rumble match and some other fun things. Our very first Vader promo, Jake promo, stuff like that. We're doing something similar here with this episode of this pay-per-view with Super Brawl. We're just going to watch. There are 4 matches. For those who don't know, way back when, the main event, which was the 6:05 show on Sunday, prior to the pay-per-view, was live. And so what they would do is they would air matches from the arena, dark matches or pre-show matches, I guess is basically what you can call them. Pretty quick matches, nothing to them for the most part. Sometimes they set up angles on the pay-per-view. And we're kicking things off here. Dick Slater, Bunkhouse Buck, already in the ring as the Road Warriors make their way in. And the Roadies have only been here for a week or two, Steve.
So, yeah, this is live in, St. Petersburg, I think is where Super Brawl takes place. I was skimming this file a little bit before we came on. So, they're live here. Bischoff and Dusty's on the commentary.
This is a slobber knocker, I'm sure. Look at these 4 guys, Hawk and Animal, Bunkhouse Buck, and Dick Slater. Could be a hell of a bar fight, any night of the week.
You're not going to get a good wrestling match out of this, but you're going to be entertained. Look at Buck.
Oh, Jimmy Golden taking a... Man, he's a big dude. I never really paid attention to how tall Jimmy Golden, Bunkhouse Buck was. I mean, I guess I kind of knew from when he used to team with Robert Fuller, but it just sticks out here more so for some reason.
These guys... they were kind of just there for me for the longest time, and then I started watching. Oh, he's already doing the post spot.
Well, they only got 2 minutes probably to work this in. So Hawk hits the shoulder. They're already getting the heat on Hawk.
Oh yeah, we're like 30 seconds in, and we're already getting heat on the good guys. So
yeah, this is not going to be too long. You can already tell.
Well, these guys worked this show. They worked the pay-per-view, so they're
right. The Road Warriors
duty here.
I think this is just to make things fair because there's a tag title match on the pay-per-view with Sting and Luger taking on Harlem Heat, and the winners go on to face the Roadies. So this is their way of keeping things fair.
Got a nice pop-out promo there from the Harlem Heat. Suckers.
Insert promo. You wonder if Booker's dropping any bombs there. Any bad words.
Isn't this the show? Like, not this one, but wasn't it SuperBrawl that he did that?
Well, it was on Hogan, so it had to have been a different year.
Yeah, I don't mean this show, but I meant SuperBrawl in general. I don't even recall it.
I heard it when it happened live. I was like, holy shit, did he just say that? And Dick Slater, Chuck's Hawk. Yeah, she was. You're right. So
it had to be before this.
Could have been, yep. And the referee outside with Hawk and Dick Slater allows Rob Parker to come in and try to hit Animal, but Animal ducks and Parker blasts Bunkhouse Buck with something. And we get the poor man's doomsday device as Animal picks
the heart attack.
Yeah, the heart attack off the top rope. And the LOD get the win here. 2 minutes and 7 seconds. What a match.
I didn't get to talk about my guys. They were kind of just there, and then I watched Smoky Mountain, and those guys really, I don't know, you realize how big they are. Right. Jimmy Gold and them guys. So, here we go. We got a nice macho promo with Liz.
Just sitting there looking innocent.
Hard work, Chris Kanyon here.
I'm skipping through to get to the next match. Minute work, Chris Kanyon, yes. Hard work was Bobby Walker. He's a minute work with the road construction signs.
Oh, Lord. Were they a tag team?
Yeah, Chris Kanyon and Mark Starr, I believe it was. I'm pretty sure. Man, it's been a long time. No, Bobby Walker wasn't part of the team, no.
No, I knew that. I didn't know what he was. I didn't see what he was wearing. He's measuring up for the referee.
That's Randy Eller? Randy something or other like that, I think. I heard Tony Schiavone call him by name the last time I watched a show with him on it. I just always called him the mullet mustache ref. Canyon's doing what now?
He looks like he's ready for that flock run with Raven.
Well, he was destined for more than job guy, which is what Minute Work were. They were like basically the babyface state patrol. Just jobber to the stars with the gimmick.
Yeah.
Hugh Morrus sitting Kanyon in the corner.
This is look. He looks like Raven from the flock.
I think he's even. Those don't even look like wrestling boots. They look like work boots, like construction boots. Yeah. Or at least they're meant to anyway. Really dedicated to this gimmick.
Hey, they gave him something. It's better than just being Chris Kanyon.
Well, what do you think? Would you go with this gimmick or Mortis? Which one looks cool?
Mortis. Definitely Mortis.
Hugh Morrus sends Kanyon straight up and straight down.
I was reading a while ago, The Observer. They was talking about how like that Blood Run Cold was supposed to be more than one guy. It's supposed to be like 4 of them. They had a Mortal Kombat. Yeah, they were going to do a whole Mortal Kombat group. Yeah, that was originally the plan. Thank God. I mean, it would have been kind of cool. I would have been interested.
Did you see Glacier?
I did see Glacier.
Did you really think they needed to follow that up with anything?
No, I mean, like if they came in that way, if all 4 came in together, it probably may have worked a little bit better.
Hugh
Morrus trying to get a little
flippy.
Yeah, doing something.
Yeah, he tried to spring into the ring and slipped off the top rope. He recovered okay, though, did a reverse crossbody, or missed a reverse crossbody from the middle rope. Could have been worse. Could have been Lex Luger right in the schnoz. Chris Kanyon coming back with the crossbody.
But no, that'd have been kind of cool. Seeing 4 Mortal Kombat guys running around.
Oh, when you said that would be cool, and I just mentioned Lex Luger, I thought you were going to say that would have been cool if Lex Luger works twice here on the pay-per-view.
Well, I already know where this is going.
Press slam. Hugh Morrus just looking like a badass here. Of course, he's the job guy of the Dungeon of Doom, so he always likes when he can get a win himself. No laughing matter. Moonsault by the big guy, which was a big deal back then. Now everybody does it.
Yeah. Well, the next pay-per-view Uncensored is when... I think that's the match you're talking about where they go like 30 minutes or something ridiculous with the split cameras and...
Makes sense because it's uncensored. They go backstage and things. It's terrible.
One of them's tagged with like Booker T as a partner of somebody, and
right.
It's a cluster.
Because somebody's injured. Yeah, it's a train wreck. I think it's Sting and Booker T. I think Luger like feigns an injury or something to get out of the match.
Are you shocked? We got Craig Pittman here against Big Bubba.
I think we got a tag match. I think it's VK Wallstreet and Big Bubba, which they've been cohorts for a while now.
Eddie Guerrero. Who is that?
No, that's Joey Maggs. That's Jumpin' Joey Maggs.
Joey Maggs.
Absolutely. Did you remember that Joey Maggs was also managed by Teddy Long during this run?
I did.
Yes.
I did, yeah.
And of course,
I've seen him come out a few times on Saturday night.
If you guys have been following the Monday Warfare show, you know by now Craig Pittman's basically been asking everyone to be his manager, Bobby Heenan, Jimmy Hart, even Mongo. And he winds up with Teddy Long. But it's not 1989, 1990 Teddy Long. It's 1996 Teddy Long. And he should be long gone at this point, if you ask me.
He ate Teddy Long.
Yes.
Teddy Long, who ate Teddy Long, is the manager here.
I don't remember when he jumps over. I felt like he came to the WWE before they purchased WCW, but I could be wrong there. But he was a referee for the longest time. What's that?
He did. Yeah, okay. He was there for he was a part of that stupid referee strike gimmick that they had going.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I think he came in 99 is my guess, somewhere around 99 or so.
I'm not going to read the results unless you watch this and already know. What's your guess here? Are we just going to get a Big Bubba and VK Wallstreet squash out of this, or are they going to actually make Teddy Long's team look competent?
I'm going to say the good guys are going to get some offense, just a little bit, not much.
All right, Maggs, give me that drop kick. There you go. One of my favorite job guys of the early '90s was Joey Maggs. He was one of those guys always mentioned in the Indies too, in the old After Maggs. Yeah, Joey Maggs was always one of those job guys they gave offense to, though, because he was halfway, competent and talented.
Yeah.
He was just small. He wasn't going to go anywhere.
What kind of stinks, though, is you get these guys like, Trent Knight and
boom
from the Grenade and, Joey Maggs, those types that just job all the time on TV, and then they go to independence and you try to push them a little bit, and it just doesn't work because everybody's seen them on TV get destroyed by everybody. So takes a lot of work to change your mind on somebody like that.
I was always a fan whenever I saw some of the job guys. And I used to go to the WWF house shows and I would buy into some of the guys, like the guys that got the push but that never won, like a Barry Horowitz, a Bob Bradley, because they would typically open the card. So like, say I saw Tito Santana versus Bob Bradley, which it did open the very first show I ever attended for the WWF. And they went about 10 minutes. Now on TV, that was going to go 2, maybe 3. But they pushed it to 10. I believed it. I enjoyed it, really. But I guess you just have to suspend your disbelief. And Bubba misses the Enziguri there. Joey Maggs might try something. Joey going to hit one. Oh, wow.
Oh,
Bubba
nice.
giving Joey a little offense.
Oh, yeah, Bubba will give anybody offense, really.
Yeah, but not for long. I feel like this is right into the Boss Man Slam. Boom, Bubba's spike. Just like that. 2, 3, 2.5 minutes tops. In and out again. Of course, these matches Pittman are just there to Pittman coming in to check. See, this would have been great if, now they're turning on or jumping poor Pittman. Teddy Long doing nothing. Hollering at the players from the apron. Teddy Long won't even get in the ring. I'll be your manager.
Playing and parlaying.
Yeah, these are not the skyscrapers.
Absolutely not. Hey, at least they're letting Pittman fight back a little bit. If Pittman didn't realize he was
here we go. The endless feud. Big Bubba and VK Wallstreet versus Jim Duggan. It just won't go away.
It's like all of Hogan's boys stuck on Saturday night feuding with each other.
There's your new team. Jim Duggan and the Pitbull. At least it makes sense a little bit, United States.
It does make sense. You got the former Marine.
We'll probably have that match on Saturday night one of these weeks. We'll never see it, but it's probably on there.
Here we go.
Video clip back in time showing the long-standing rivalry between Flair now with Woman. Of course, Woman recently turned on the Macho Man team when she gave, what was it? Flair, the stiletto. And Flair used it to gouge out the eyeball of Hulk Hogan. And Hogan does the blade job, which only Hogan could get away with back in those days. And Flair gets his first pin over Hulk Hogan. And they sell it like it was a huge upset and making a big deal. Now Ric Flair can say that he's a legend because he beat Hulk Hogan. It's like, wow, really? I don't know.
Movies for
guys who like movies. commercial here.
Yeah, Mad Max 3's on tonight. Let's go.
We'll be watching SuperBrawl, so not happening.
Uh,
Here's our main event of the main event. It looks like it's supposed to be Loch Ness. So Loch Ness with the company now, taking on what was that, Jim Duggan?
Yeah.
But I don't see Loch Ness. I see the Taskmaster. I see Kevin Sullivan and Jimmy Hart. Perhaps Loch Ness.
Watch Mad Max.
Well, maybe over this. Yes, I don't know about SuperBrawl. I'll have to let you know when we're done here at the end of this.
All right. We'll see. We're gonna grade this against Mad Max 3 Beyond Thunderdome.
See, I wish I had known that in advance. I could have had them running side by side simultaneously on my laptop here, and I could have. And Sullivan attacking Duggan while Jimmy Hart distracts, and Duggan fighting him off. And Loch Ness, about 500 pounds, 600 pounds, would you say, Steve? Tall guy, too, on top of being as large as he was. And he's probably still making his way out to ringside. Here he comes. Finally on his way down to ringside. He was not long for WCW, was Loch Ness. They had brought him in to be another foil of Hulk Hogan, and once they realized that he wasn't going to cut the mustard, they quickly abandoned him from Dungeon of Doom and had the Giant kill him, I think, by the next pay-per-view. And
maybe Nitro.
I remember they fight on Nitro, but I think the match is actually at Uncensored.
Yeah.
The blow-off.
He's not around long.
No, he's here for about a month or so. And here comes the big elbow. Boom.
I mean, I don't know what you expect from a dude that big.
Using the rope. Well, in his day, here comes Pittman back out. He wants to get more TV times. All this is about. Because, he ain't doing shit here.
He took a chop to the head and now he's dead. Oh, yeah, this dude ain't doing much.
No, it's really unfortunate, too. I mean, the guy had quite a storied career in the United Kingdom, but by this point, he had to be 40 years old. I mean, that's pretty old for a guy this size.
Yeah, he can barely get up off the mat. So this is probably what they probably saw this and was like, yeah, this ain't gonna work.
Well, I think it was his health that was the issue. They sent him back home, and he wound up dying like within the next couple of years.
Yeah, he didn't last long. Who the hell? We got everybody coming out. Is that our buddy Ricky Santana?
Oh, that's Ricky Santana back from his '89 excursion in NWA. He's finally back as a Barrio brother here.
Finally, he gets a good partner, and then he blows out his knee. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, and here's
good to see you.
Speaking of Cuban assassins and partners and things, here's the other Barrio brother. It's Fidel Sierra.
Yeah, what a team!
Boom.
Are they good? They have to be good guys.
No, they're heels. They're heels.
Oh, they're heels. Wow, yeah. I didn't think Ricky Santana could pull it off.
Well, he didn't. They were job guy heels. They were State Patrol.
Well, that's fine. I'm just saying, I would never believe Ricky Santana as a heel.
Yeah, it's hard to do. He's got that clean-shaven baby face and
Tito Santana syndrome. Look at those teeth.
What an angry look. Well, he's British. Sorry to our Brit fans out there, but that's just the narrative.
Man, I remember getting this on pay-per-view and seeing this big dude. Well, I can't spoil it, but he's something, man. He's a sight to behold.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he's not just big, wide. I mean, he's pretty damn tall on top of that. He was he main evented for years against Big Daddy over in the UK, World of Sport. They were headliners over there, selling out giant stadiums and things. So he definitely had a heyday.
The heck commercial are we watching here?
I don't know. I didn't mean to, because we're getting there, guys. You guys, while we talk here for a minute, you guys get ready and queue up SuperBrawl 6 or SuperBrawl 96, whatever they call it on the WWE Network.
6.
And we're going to close out the main event with a Hulk Hogan promo, his eye still bandaged up from the stiletto to the eyeball, in which allowed Ric Flair to get a pinfall. And I'm sure we have plenty of time during that match to talk more about that storyline, so I won't get too deep into it here as we get going on the show, because it's about that time. It's about time to count it down. And yep, we're closing out the main event with Mean Gene Okerlund and Hulk Hogan, of all people. Some things never change.
Nope. Nice way to sell your pay-per-view. Absolutely.
Call the hotline, order the pay-per-view, and that's pretty much that. So if everybody's ready and you're all queued up, Steve, I'm sure you're queued up and ready to go.
I am ready to go.
As am I. And if you guys, hopefully everybody's made it past those pesky ads at the beginning of all your WWE Network stuff that we get now. And I'm ready to go as well. So we're going to cue this up and we're going to press play in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and press play.
Tonight, in the cage, the WCW World Heavyweight title is on the line as Ric Flair challenges the champion, Macho Man Randy Savage. Anything goes. There must be a winner. Hulk Hogan steps into the cage against the Giant. The World Tag Team title is on the line as champion Sting and Lex Luger take on Harlem Heat with the Road Warriors meeting the winner. Johnny B. Bad puts up the TV title and the doll against Diamond Dallas Page and over $6 million. The former champ, One Man Gang, challenges Conan for the U.S. Heavyweight title. It's a street fight in Pity City. The Nasty Boys face Public Enemy. And in a respect match with a leather strap, the Taskmaster meets Fly-In Brian. And now, live from the Bayfront Center in St. Petersburg, Florida, it's SuperBrawl VI.
So we are live in St. Pete, as you said, and it's a 3-man announce team. Tony Schiavone, along with your favorites, Dusty Rhodes and Bobby Heenan. And I'm sure they're going to give Tony some shit throughout the course of the night, per the usual. And that had to be fun for Tony, because he lost it so many times throughout that period in WCW, where they would just make him laugh right in the middle of the show.
Oh yeah, there's no way you couldn't. Like, how can you not laugh when you got these two sitting between you, sitting on each side of you? I mean, it'd be an easy day at the office having to deal with these two.
And just a quick rundown. That was pretty cool how they announced most of the card, or maybe all the card. I didn't really pay attention if like what wasn't mentioned, but that was nice to have a nice rundown to get going. We already know what we're looking at here. By the way, that last match
on paper here.
I feel like that last match, that Duggan and Loch Ness match, I never mentioned. I think it would have been like a no contest or something, because it never really started.
Yeah, who knows what the hell that was.
And we're going to kick this off the same way I believe we kicked off Clash of the Champions 32, only this match might actually count. We saw the Public Enemy not in their debut, because they had that standby match with the American Males on Nitro prior to the Clash, but they were supposed to kick off the Clash show taking on the Nasty Boys. And I'm not sure if we ever really got the bell signaling the beginning, because we surely didn't get an end, as they just fought all over the place. And this is going to be more of that, because this is dubbed a street fight.
From Pity City, according to the announcer. Pity City.
That makes the Nasty Boys the favorites, I would imagine, then, from Pity City here. And who are these girls? Because they have no rhythm. I'm not sure who hired them. Well, they must be Public Enemy fans, because there's Johnny Grunge trying to dance as well. And it's
what do you think
first
of Public Enemy here?
Oh,
Not WCW, but just in general.
I was sold, I was drinking that Kool-Aid. I was drinking the Aftermath Kool-Aid and the ECW Kool-Aid for sure. At this point, other than, I don't know that
to be in WCW before you realized it wasn't going to work.
Probably after the WCW run, or the first run. I didn't really remember it working or not working. To be honest, I wasn't really thinking like that at this time. I mean, they were what they were, by the time things got going. Obviously, I bought all the hype, everything said about them in the magazines, and then I'd gotten a couple ECW tapes by the end of '95. I remember Double Tables. I can't remember what the tape was that I got, but Public Enemy heavily involved in the main events of the tapes, and I guess they disguised their weaknesses obviously by the type of matches they were in. So
I don't think anybody's better at that than Paul Heyman.
Right,
maximizing your abilities and hiding your weaknesses. He can do it.
And the match gets going.
This is just going to be a cluster and garbage wrestling, but it's not bad.
Let's see how long before the Nasties take over and refuse to give the Public Enemy anything. That's my, and there goes Sags thrown out onto the steps. And there's those steps in the middle of the WCW ring that we've talked about before. It's kind of dangerous to have them there.
Oh, Grunge gets beer in the face already.
That's a waste of beer. Alcohol abuse all day.
I'd be pissed off if somebody stole my drink to use it.
My $8 beer, yeah.
Yeah. It's probably like $3.50 and 96, but still the same difference.
And we're coming in.
We already got a table.
We got a table already. Rocco. Why are the tables always like 100 yards away from the ring here in WCW?
Well, you know that one's not gimmicked because that's like the souvenir table.
That's the fake souvenir table. Those souvenir stands that are in the aisleway that the crowd can't get access. God, I hated those. Yeah. Like, how stupid do you think even back then, I'm like, how stupid do you think I am to believe these concession stands are real? They're props. There's nobody at them. They're inside the arena. They're inside the entrance. The crowd can't even get to them. They're props for you to, destroy.
Did we already missed the Harlem Heat Nasty Boys concession stand fight. That's unfortunate.
Where Sherry slips in the mustard?
When Sags pushes her, yeah. Sends her packing. There's no way she didn't get hurt on that. I don't know, man. We've talked about it before, and I don't know if we've talked about it on any of these shows. It's definitely possible. But they just take liberties, and they don't give a shit. They're not.
I have no doubt in this very match, we're going to see them take liberties. It's just getting going. So I have no doubt before this is over, they take over under. I'll say over on 6 liberties. There goes Rocco. Already taking bumps for the nasties. They were hired to get over, obviously. They were probably the most over guys on the indies. And it's just they come in here to get over, and it's like the nasties are using them as bump machines to get themselves over instead of allowing the Public Enemy to get over. There's Sags in the trash can.
The problem is these are Hogan's guys.
There you go. Can you put that connection together? Can you tell me what the story is that Hogan's? I don't see Hogan and Knobbs having anything in common. I don't get it. They don't go to the gym together. I don't.
Well, I have no idea. But I mean, clearly they're boys. He was on his show. Whatever the hell, Hogan's Knows Best, whatever it was.
Yeah, I know they're close buddies, close as you can get with Hogan anyway.
The only thing I can think of is Jimmy Hart's the only thread there together.
Yeah.
You say it to me all the time, man. They're carnies, so they flock together.
Right.
And I'm sure they have a lot in common that we don't necessarily see on the shows and things like that, but I don't get it. From what I've heard and seen of these guys, they don't sound like very fun to be around. So Sags may be different. I don't know, because he's just kind of out there. He doesn't really get around that I've seen. But Knobbs, he just seems like
here we go,
a grade A.
Oh yeah, yeah. Some of these guys that are like that early in life, they seem to mature or at least become a little more humble. And Knobbs just seems like he's never going to change as a human being.
Yeah, he is what he is, and he doesn't give a shit.
And there's a pile driver on Johnny Grunge in the garbage can, and we got Rocco and Knobbs in the aisle. So we're doing split screen now, Steve, and I don't mind this. I
don't either.
It was smart of WCW to think to do this because nobody else, I can't think of anybody else that was doing split screen. Not that they couldn't do split screen, but I can't think of anybody else that was doing split screen during wrestling matches at this time. Not that, I guess, ECW probably didn't really have the capabilities necessarily. And WWF, suplex. And look at that, Knobbs didn't even take the bump, just suplex Rocco. That's the second table Rocco's went through. And poor Johnny Gunn just getting cans smashed over his head.
The only thing I remember, like, split screen on the E is just like those double features. They never really split up the action.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that the capability wasn't there. Like when the Royal Rumble, you'd see a guy come down and, you'd watch the ring. I'm just saying they didn't really have matches where they needed to do this. So WCW really came up with this on their own. So kudos to them for actually using their heads for once instead of trying to rip somebody else off.
Oh, I will say Bischoff is, for all his faults, he was really good at coming up with new ideas and new ways to film things. Like, think outside the box a little bit and come up with other ideas. Like, a lot of those NWO vignettes were cutting edge and different.
But were those Bischoff or were those the production guys?
I don't know. I don't know whose idea they were, but I know he's the executive producer, so you kind of give him the credit.
Bulldog into the chair. So now we're over at the faux souvenir stand. I'm surprised they're not all Hulk Hogan shirts there. Just every single shirt.
That Nasty Boy shirt right there on the end.
Oh, I'll pass.
Yeah, me too. Kind of looks like a knockoff, like that Brian Pillman shirt from back in the day with the clouds on it. It looks like a remake of that.
There's a Hogan foam finger there.
They get you a macho hat.
Look at this Rubbermaid garbage can to the head. Knobs doesn't even sell it, or Sags doesn't even sell it.
Yeah, they're done selling at this point.
Yeah, clearly they are. They're just, I mean, literally they're not selling. They're not even taking bumps or moving as if the blow is affecting them. What is this? Suplex. Sag's going to suplex the table on top of, who is that, Rocco?
Rocco, yeah. Rocco's taking all the damage.
Yeah, Grunge ain't done shit. He's taking some garbage can shots, which is nothing. Now look at that. Both Public Enemy attacking Sags at the same time.
He got the edge of the chair there right on the forehead. That couldn't have felt good. What the hell did the Public Enemy do to piss off the WWF in '99? I know the story's infamous where APA just kills them or whatever.
They do. Yeah, I think they just wanted to do it. I think they just didn't like them. They heard them, maybe had heard things about them, and they just took it out on them.
That sucks.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
I don't know what Public Enemy would have
looks
done
like
in
we're
WWF
probably
in '99, but
going into a finish here. Rocco Rock looking for the drive-by out of the crowd. He's up in the stands on top of the souvenir stand. Gonna put Knobs moves, and Rocco goes through a third table. Oh. Knobs splashes him with the table. 1, 2, 3. And Mr. Mullet Mustache Randy Eller there counts the 3 count. And the welcome to WCW Public Enemy. You just lost. And now Knobs refusing to sell for Grunge. Oh, shit. They're attacking him afterwards.
So Sag nails him with the chair. You know, that was a little stiff. I can't stand to even watch these guys.
No, the match, I don't even remember them doing a whole lot beyond this. It's like they killed Public Enemy and then they kind of disappeared from, best I remember.
Well, they try to get
the NWO.
NWO.
Right.
And then they get the hell beat out of them by those guys, and then they disappear. You don't really see Sags ever again after this run.
There's the missed drive-by replay.
I know Knobs comes back in 2000 for like that hardcore title crap, but
yeah, Knobs gets that run with Finley or whatever that is, or like a team or some shit. I don't remember.
I know he has matches for the hardcore title that they bring out, but other than that, this is pretty much it for Sags after, I'd say July, August maybe.
Yeah, I don't really know what goes down or what the deal was off the top of my head. I'm sure I did at some point if I watched the Nasty shoot or something. I'm sure it's been explained. I don't know if it was injury. I don't know if it was a job. Although I can't imagine them quitting WCW with whatever the hell they were getting paid here by Turner.
Oh, there's no way. They'd be stupid. And they've kind of gotten the upper hand on almost every team that they're in these matches with, like Harlem Heat, Public Enemy. They're the ones that seem to be going over like every single time. So they're clearly getting protected as far as these garbage street fights are concerned. But yeah, to give it up and move. I will say though, my friend, he went to a convention up in Canada, and the Nasty Boys were promoted, but only Knobs showed up. And I guess he said Sags had some issues with his visa due to like a outstanding something like warrant or some shit, like, or he's a felon or something, so he couldn't come across country lines. So he couldn't make it. and it was just knobs. So who knows? That could have been that could have been a part of it. But sooner they're gone, the better. What
the hell is Konnan wearing here? I mean, I know Lucha Libre garb is always, a little bit different, and a lot of the stuff is pretty damn cool, to be honest with you, but I have no idea what the hell that is or what the significance of whatever that is supposed to be, that shirt or whatever the hell that is he's got on here. You remember that job guy that wrestled Ahmed on that Raw recently, with the baggy curtains?
Yes.
It's almost like Conan's wearing a curtain shirt here. As Mean Gene, only 14 minutes into the show, and Mean Gene was already shilling the hotline. Ha! Call the hotline!
It almost looks like it's one of those, like a crisscross jacket or something. The zipper's on the back or some shit, like, because it looks like it's on backwards. I mean, it looks cool, but like the colors and just the uniqueness of it, that Lucha Libre tradition type deal, but it looks a little tight on your boy Konnan there.
Here we go. She's trying to work her way into this Johnny B. Bad gimmick. There's Kimberly out here just doing a random dance routine.
She looks pretty cool.
Yeah, she's matching. I mean, they matched. They really had something. I mean, just even the Bad Blaster matches their gear here this week. All or nothing, Johnny.
Johnny was ahead of the game as far as everything in sync with. Everything is in sync when it's pretty cool. He had an autograph signing today, and he hooked me up on my magazine. He signed it Never Give Up, and he seems very grounded and authentic. He seems like a really nice guy. So
he's pointing his Bad Blaster at Kimberly and his other gun too, probably. And Kimberly going into another routine here. I don't really Well, hello.
Well, if you can do that, just keep on dancing for no reason.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Do the splits there. Watch this. If I remember this, she does like watch her exit the ring here. Well, no, she's not doing it yet, but I kind of remember. And we'll talk about when the match gets going. We'll talk about the storyline behind it, because this check that the referee, Jimmy Jett, by the way, haven't seen him a whole lot yet, but that check that he's holding is absolutely ridiculous, and that's the most
cash.
Yeah, well, it's the most ridiculous storyline. $6.6 million, and I'll get to that here in a couple of minutes because I want to. Now, who's that in the crowd there, Steve? Who was that? Linda Hogan in the crowd. So she's been coming out during the introductions of Hogan and Savage here for the past month, along with Woman and Elizabeth for the last few weeks, and now she's just stuck in the crowd as they just magically pan to her.
Well, she left the ring.
Oh. No, she's still there.
Oh, no, here we go.
Here we go.
Well, she stepped out of the ring.
She's going to... Watch this. That's crazy. She jumps up and tries to touch her toes as she jumps off the apron. Just seems like a broken leg waiting to happen.
At some point, yeah. Too bad it doesn't last much longer. This is it, I think.
Yeah, I don't remember anything beyond this. This is the end of this feud, and we got DDP coming down to the ring with roses, and we saw that on a Nitro. Of course, he had a big chain in those roses and tried to get Kimberly to slip him the chain, but of course, she's already with Johnny B. Bad at this point. And the story here, obviously, DDP wants to get back that TV title. He wants to get back the Diamond Doll, and in order to do those things, he had to put up Kimberly's bingo money, Steve. She had won, I don't remember, it was $12 million, $15 million? Yeah. Something absolutely ridiculous at bingo. And he spent some of it, but there was $6.6 million. I do give him credit. They didn't round it off. They made it like a little more believable. $6.6 million is left here of the money. And if Johnny B. Bad can win, he gets the money from DDP. So DDP putting $6.6 million up for a TV title. Yeah. And the Diamond Doll. So that might make her the most expensive hooker of all time.
So Paige is putting up the remaining money.
Yes, because he stole her money. She won bingo and he took it and spent it. So even though it's legally hers, he has it. So instead of her going to court and getting her money, they're just going to put it. They're going to have it here in a match. Make sense?
Well, the problem Well, yeah, that makes sense. But the problem I have with all that is there's a point where he lost all the money, and he was remembering he's wearing like, how is that not a DQ anyway? By the way, but anyway, he lost all the money, and then he started wearing like scrubs for ring attire. It looks like he borrowed some Isaac Yankem.
Right, because all of a sudden the gear, the gear that he owned just randomly didn't exist anymore.
Like the money was already, like, he lost all his money, so he had to.
Wouldn't that have been after this though? And Bad drops the leg on DDP there, and that's how he beat him at World War III. Was that slingshot leg drop there? So they're hitting finishers in the first couple of minutes of this one.
They dragged this feud all the way out through all of 95 and into 96 because Evad started it, and it moved into Bad here. Oh, my Lord. They got a lot of mileage out of it.
Yeah, we've seen these guys. They worked Halloween Havoc. They worked World War III together. Now they're here at Super Brawl against each other. DDP playing to Kimberly, and she's not having any of it now. The last time we saw Bad and Kimberly, which has been quite a while now, on TV together on Nitro, she seemed reluctant, but she wasn't so sure whose side she was on, maybe. Here, by this point, it's clear she's fully behind Johnny B. Bad. And I'm curious where the story was going to go. Was there any plans beyond this? Was she to turn back heel eventually? Go back with DDP? I'm not really sure because, like you said, Bad's gone not too long after this because he pops up at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I don't even think he made it to Uncensored.
No, definitely not. I think the Booty Man's there by Uncensored.
I think so, too.
So blocking hip tosses. Let's see how many tilt-a-whirls DDP... That's his favorite thing to do right now. See how many moves he can hit out of a tilt-a-whirl. So we'll see how many times he uses one here in this match.
Probably going to be one of your better matches of the whole card right here. Second match.
Somebody should tell Kimberly to stand on one of the other sides of the ring. It's not common for a manager to work the side of the hard camera.
Well, I got nothing for you on that one. Who's
going to work an arm?
To tell her to move? Is it the refs?
Johnny B. Bad channeling his inner Tommy Rich here, working the arm bar on DDP. Yet somehow it's just a little bit more entertaining.
Let's go at least one show without talking about Tommy Wrench's arm bar. Just one.
Well, you got to talk to these guys about doing his move. Tell him to stop doing his move.
Oh, Lord.
You want to watch a show and not talk about his armbar? Just watch an episode of ECW. I'm sure there's... Oh, hot shot. Stun gun. And Bad goes down.
A little sloppy, though. A little sloppy. Paige missed the leapfrog.
It could have been worse. Yeah, that was, if you want to call that a leapfrog. He didn't miss the leapfrog. He didn't do the leap. He jumped next to Johnny B. Bad. He's like, well, I'm not gonna clear him, so I'm just gonna jump over here next to him. Put the illusion on.
The first one he got messed up, so he didn't really have a chance to do it the second time.
I will say these guys really go out there and they just give it to each other every match. We've seen them progress, get a little better each time, and try some new stuff every time. You have to think these guys had conversations before every pay-per-view. Just go out there. What do you want to do? I want to do this, 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 and this. What do you want to do? I want to do this, 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 and this. And then they get enough time to go out here and work it all in.
Yeah, they definitely took pride in wanting to do well. The problem is it doesn't matter how good you look. You're not going to get anywhere in this company making yourself look good, as we all know.
Gut wrench into a gut buster by DDP. Not a bad move there.
That's pretty nice. It makes me wonder if he was trying to do something else, but he couldn't finish getting him up further. So
whatever it was, it worked. DDP needs to pay attention to the man in the ring, not the woman on the outside of the ring, though.
He needs to get that. He wants the 10 from Kimberly.
Yeah, he wants something from Kimberly anyway.
I'm sure he's gotten everything from Kimberly.
Oh, Bad is selling. I'm not sure what he's selling. His ribs? What is he selling? I guess from the gut buster. DDP tried to shoot him off the ropes and Bad just collapsed. I always liked that spot. When they work on a guy's wheel or something and try to shoot him off and they would collapse. It was realistic. Yeah. What was not realistic here is he picks him back up and shoots him off with no problem 5 seconds later. And Johnny even tries a sunset flip. And apparently, nope, wow, tries twice.
I will say, though, at least on that second one, Page kind of followed him in the whole way to ensure that he hit the ropes. So,
giving DDP credit here in early '96.
Yeah, he's trying, you know. I can't really say anything bad about DDP. He busted his ass. A guy, 40 when he first started wrestling, relatively old in the game to become a full-time wrestler, and he busted his ass and got himself over. So you can't, no matter the look or whatever you think of him, you gotta give him credit for that. I mean, I guess it does pay to be boys with Bischoff, but at the same time, you got to put in the effort, and he did, and whatever he did was working. That was nice.
Johnny B. Bad tries the hip toss there, and DDP floats over into a DDT, and it looked really nice for a guy his size. He tried to do things, though, that maybe could have been awkward for a guy his size. That was something you would see out of a smaller guy, but it worked. It looked really good. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
She gave him a 0. She just happened to have a 0 card hidden under the ring there. So it's like modern day WWE where everything's just under the ring. And schoolboy gimmick, DDP goes stumbling backwards and trips over Johnny B. Bad into a schoolboy. But right back on top.
What was you going to say about DDP?
Oh, I have no idea. I don't know what I was talking about at the time. So,
just him putting in the work to get better.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, I collect results. I've been collecting results for over 30 years, and blew my mind when I saw his name, Dallas. I think it was Dallas Page. I don't think it was his real name, on results from, I want to say 81. Something like that. And I said, there's no way there's somebody else with this name. And, I did some digging and did some research. This is years ago now that I found this out, but sure enough, he wrestled a couple of matches way back when, years before he actually broke into the business. And I guess it didn't go, I don't know if it didn't go over well or just was too much at the time. Obviously he went, and did the bar scene and everything, whatever the hell else he did throughout the 80s. Came back to wrestling, came back, went to the, Florida, worked Florida with Gordon on commentary, worked for the AWA as a manager. I know he tried out in the WWF as a manager, and before he ended up in the WCW. And then, of course, he was a manager in WCW first for the Freebirds before he finally got to wrestle. So, yeah, he definitely started full-time very late.
Yeah.
I think it was 91.
Mm-hmm. And that's just unheard of.
And it's a hell of a camp to go through, too, because you figure you decide you want to be a wrestler or however it went. And it's odd to see him as a manager, his size anyway. But here, he breaks in 91. You go to 92 and Bill Watts comes in. Can you imagine you're like less than a year into wrestling and Bill Watts is your boss? You better get out there and learn. Obviously, luckily for DDP, there's the move that busted Stone Cold open at King of the Ring 96. Nice move, though. Very nice move. That O'Connor roll. It's almost like a Frankensteiner into an O'Connor roll. I don't know how to really describe it.
Yeah, it's like a leg takeover instead of your arms, which it's unique and different. And Johnny B. Bad had a lot of moves like that just looked different and unique.
Yeah, he was really busting out moves like left and right here over the last, say, 6 months total. He's been having a lot of good matches on the pay-per-views, too. Obviously, this new wave of guys, he's not going to be able to out-wrestle those guys. There's Pedro Morales that had to piss Vince off. Pedro Morales doing Spanish commentary there. Conan on commentary right before his match with Eddie.
With one-man gang.
Oh, is he fighting Gang? I don't know why I thought it was Eddie Guerrero.
No, he's fighting Gang for the U.S. title. The Eddie match is at Uncensored.
Okay. I knew it was around this time.
Yeah.
Well, I would be on commentary, too, if all I was doing was working the Gang here in 96. You could just walk away from commentary and get in the ring and handle business.
Can't believe that. I don't know why they chose the Gang to do that to Suzuki, but I guess he's big and could just lay on him if he needed to.
Well, Kensuke Sasaki, he kicked out at 2. They just counted the 3. So he let him out. Whole thing's silly. Double axe handle off the top rope. That's why Konan's split the. They didn't want to give the Gang the belt. They just used the Gang to transition the belt to Konnan. And there's a 10. She gives him a 10 for a double axe handle. I wonder what Macho Man has to say about that.
That's all it takes. That's probably what he's thinking.
Jimmy Jet. Warning bad, and he drops an elbow. Questionably low. Bad even selling it for DDP. And the referee just letting it go because it's WCW and the rules are loose. The original ECW. WCW. Wow, what a sunset flip. That was like freaking,
so
yeah, it was like diving in the Olympics. The form he had.
It's better than some people's normal one, like on the ground. Like he's coming off the top rope with it, and it looks better than some people's in the ring just jumping over somebody.
Sit out power bomb by Johnny B. Bad. And what makes it even more impressive is the size of DDP hitting it on a guy that tall.
Yeah, it looked awkward. It definitely looked awkward.
But he connected with it. I mean, there's the next snap.
It almost looked like Paige was sandbagging him a little bit, but that's just because Paige is so much taller. He's not necessarily so much taller, but he's just bigger, like you said. This is a really good match.
I don't think even though Meltzer, kind of shit on some of their matches, I don't think any of their matches have been bad, per se. I think the Havoc one was probably a little more sloppy than the ones that followed, obviously, but at the same time, I don't remember any of them being bad.
That was one of their first ones.
DDP trying to use the ropes for leverage, and Bad still kicks out. Yeah, it's a shame. These guys really, I think, elevated each other and then turn around and Mark Marrow comes to the WWF, and I wonder, I know he's a changed man now anyway. Whoa, there's your tilt-a-whirl into a
flapjack.
Pancake? Yeah, pancake, flapjack, whatever the hell that is. Almost a tombstone. Yeah.
What was you going to say about Marrow there?
I wonder if he regrets leaving WCW or if he thought that was a better opportunity still. Because, I've already said, it's already been said repeatedly, Bischoff still to this day says the reason he let Marrow go is because he didn't see anything in him. He didn't see him as anything higher than what he was here, which just blows my mind. Like, what are you looking for exactly?
Yeah,
the guy is totally capable on a promo. He's a hell of a worker in the ring, has the look, has the entrance, has the gear.
He's the total package.
And
he's constantly getting better. That's the other thing too. Like he's constantly innovating moves and working on his craft. He cares. I know there's a lot of stuff going on. Like Bischoff wanted him to go to a race to promote WCW, and he's like, "Hey man, this is my daughter's birthday. I don't want to miss it." So Bischoff felt salty about that. And if I remember right, they met in an airport or something, and Mark told him, like, this is what I got on the table from, I think, Vince. I think this is the way it goes. It's been a minute since I read it in the Observer. He said, this is what I got from Vince, and Bischoff was like, see ya. Like, pretty much just told him to go. So, to be honest with you, if you're hearing, well, this is as far as you're going with me, I don't really care to move you up in the world. Like, if that's the feeling he was getting from Bischoff, I don't know how you regret leaving. Even, you can't judge
another tilt-a-whirl. It looks like a tombstone coming. No, bad reversing. Look at this.
That was a different way to reverse it.
Shout out to the under. Yeah, you can't screw that one up as easy.
Ooh.
1, 2, 3. Wow. Pinned them with the tombstone. I got to say that every match they've had has had a different finish.
Yeah, they're definitely pulling out all the stops. Really, really good stuff.
Bad gets the win there, which means he's still TV champion. He still gets to keep Kimberly, and they've won $6.6 million. What a ludicrous amount of money for bingo. I guarantee you there's never been $1 million bingo in the history of bingo. So,
Definitely not.
and remember, this 6.6, that's just what's left of it. And Kimberly just Johnny B. Bad's going to be a gentleman and give her back the 6.6 million. So she should technically no longer need to be with Johnny B. Bad. Thank you. I'll take that $6 million. And I'm out the door, WCW. If only that was a real check.
Right. So, but no,
That match went about 15 minutes.
Wow. I'm of the belief you can't judge a decision based off the results. If the decision makes sense going into it, then that's what it should be based off of. And I think the right decision was made on his part. It just didn't work out probably to what he expected.
Well, I just go off like guys like Tony Schiavone, who said he regretted leaving the WWF the day after he left the WWF. So,
well, yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, there's got to be indie guys that are working for Vince right now that regret signing the contract. We've seen some of them leave. And Bad picks up the win here. And I'm not really sure how they get the TV title out. Does the TV title disappear after this? I guess we'll find out here pretty soon.
I don't think so. Hell, I don't know.
Just can't remember what happens with it.
I don't remember. I could tell you pretty much everything that happened in the WWF and up to a certain point, like every title holder, every title change, and this. I got nothing for you, man. I couldn't tell you. It all seems secondary to Hogan in this time frame. Like nothing else mattered besides Hogan. That's just the way the shows were booked. That's how the stories were told, and that's really all you remember is Hogan.
Well, I know your buddy gets the TV belt here pretty soon, Lex Luger. I just can't remember if he beats Bad for it or if he gets it some other way. They hand it to him. Is there a fictitious switch? I just don't remember.
So it goes from Bad to Luger?
Yeah, Luger will just randomly out of nowhere, too. There's really no build to it. I think it's probably just because he's on the way out. Because I don't remember there being a storyline or a feud or anything. It's got to happen in the next few weeks, obviously.
How stupid.
Then Luger walking around with two belts.
Diamond Dallas has shown that he's ready for that title. And it would have been a nice little something you can look forward to on TV, just seeing a DDP match, to be honest. Luger don't need it. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's really odd considering Bischoff didn't even want Luger in the company way back at the when the contract ran out on the WWF, and he signed him to a lowball deal, $100,000, and here we are 6 months later, and Luger's going to be holding two belts in WCW, and certainly not because of his work ethic by any means. Sucker.
I don't know what it is that's giving him that, but I will say Luger was all for it. The only thing he didn't want to do was not tell Vince, and he didn't like that part of it. Even with Luger being Luger, he wanted to tell Vince. He wanted to be a professional about it, but they told him, no, you can't. And he's like, oh, I don't know. But he eventually ended up doing it. And when his deal came up after that year, they paid him quite nice. And I think he said they paid him quite nice again, like early. They renegotiated his deal a little early, a couple times, and he got more money each time. So they took care of him, and he was there to the end. But
yeah, remember the end? Lex Luger and Bagwell? Oh my God.
I don't remember the end. I know the main event, Luger, and dude, it's to be honest with you, by the time I would say April 2000, I wasn't flipping the channels anymore.
Right. I could see that. Yeah, I wasn't either. Definitely. I did record, though. So,
right.
And I would typically go back and watch and fast forward. Oh, it's this guy. So I'll play this and watch this guy. And then I go back to fast forward again. So I'm sure I fast forwarded most Luger matches.
Oh, yeah,
unless he was wrestling like La Parka or something. Maybe I would have checked that out on Thunder.
I never even watched Thunder.
Harlem Heat. Oh, I love Thunder. It was like the secret show. Like nobody really watched it, but it was where all the good stuff was. If you like the undercard guys, the luchadors, the cruiserweights, because Hogan and all those guys, the NWA, they didn't work Thunder, dude. That was below them, At first they did, but eventually they turned that into like Saturday night as well, as far as the big names. Like, they didn't want to work Thunder. So you got like Chris Adams and the Luchadors and all these, guys like that. Norman Smiley and Jericho got to headline there a lot. Raven. So it was a pretty fun show. Till 2000, nothing was good by then.
Well, yeah. Yeah, that's what happens when Bischoff didn't even want it. If your boss doesn't want it, then why the hell do you need to be on there? And to be honest, he wasn't wrong. He wasn't wrong.
First of two World Tag Title matches here. Sting and Luger defending against Harlem Heat, which is the team they beat for the belts when Lex Luger nailed, I don't know, one of the Harlem Heat. Look at Luger looking back at the pyro. Somebody must have didn't tell him it was coming. That could have singed his beautiful body here. That's a no-no for Lex Luger or Flex Luger. Take your pick.
Flex Luger. Man, we just need to turn this into the Tommy Rich grenade.
Lex was there in 89. So the deal here is when Luger and Sting won the tag titles, Luger cheated. He popped one of the Harlem Heat with, I don't remember if it was a roll of quarters or another foreign object. He cheated, basically, and Sting was on the outside. He had nothing to do with it. So they won by questionable circumstances, which didn't seem to sit well with Sting. So that's part of the storyline here. The other part of the storyline here is Harlem Heat want the belts back. So they want at Sting too, but they made a vow here. We saw the promo right before the match. They're coming for Luger. That's who they really want, is Lex Luger. And Luger is, of course, also not only pissed off Harlem. I think that's the story. Sting's just trying to get along, have a tag title run, be a wrestler, be a good guy. Luger's causing all this shit for Sting because not only do the Harlem Heat want revenge, want their belts back, but the Road Warriors have proclaimed that they want to kill Lex Luger too at this point. And I can't remember if there's a reason behind it. I know that they had the promo at the Clash. I can't remember what happened on Nitro, the last Nitro before the pay-per-view here. But I know the story here is the Roadies promised that they would see to it that Sting and Luger win this match against Harlem Heat, not because they're afraid of Harlem Heat, but because they want to kill Lex Luger. So everybody wants to kill Lex Luger. Feels like real life storylines just coming to life.
Feels like that for sure. Very few people are fans of Lex Luger here. Besides the guy that's tagging with him, that's about it. That's probably the extent of his friends list in WCW.
I'd have to imagine, Steiner. Based on the old school era, the Roadies are probably cool with Luger. I would imagine.
Well, if they're all doing what he was doing, then I'm sure they all got along. That is probably, but you got to know by this point, Lex is who he is. You either accept him for who he is, or you just stay away from him. And I'm sure people have gotten used to his remarks and just his personality in general. Because he did say, like in his book, that after the shows, they drink a beer and pop pills together, like a big group of them. That'd be their routine. Even Sting was a part of that. And then one night Sting was like, nope, I'm not doing it. I think this was like in 98 and when they had their little falling out or whatever. But, so I'm sure he has his boys. I know Scott Steiner is one of them.
Well, if you're talking, and I'm not trying to talk trash on the Departed, but I could see Hawk at least, at the very least, partaking in that circle of friends.
Yeah, I'm sure he's down.
So this is going to be interesting here. The first time they fought these two teams when the title changed, it was the day before the Clash. It was on the Nitro before the Clash, so I think it's been about 3 weeks. And they've already beaten the Blue Bloods, Luger and Sting. I'm not sure who else they beat. They beat the Super Assassins, but I think that was before they won the tag belts.
Yeah, I think so too. That's the match I was thinking of when I was thinking of the Super Assassins.
But the Road Warriors did debut at the Clash in a promo just out of nowhere, just out of the blue. During a Sting and Luger promo, the Roadies debut in the company. And just out of no fanfare really, no build-up. Just, there's the Road Warriors. And they challenged them to a title match. And Sting said, let's do it. And Luger's like, wait a minute. We gotta defend the titles against great teams like the American Males and the State Patrol first.
You gotta love that.
It was great. Name dropping the State Patrol. Tremendous.
That's excellent. That's excellent heel heat there.
And
it's kind of like Bret Hart later on when he's talking about who are you to doubt El Dandy.
Well, Bret Hart wasn't bullshitting though. El Dandy, you look at him and you don't think much of him. He was a headliner in Mexico and he could go. It's almost like Hakushi in the WWF. You know, they wouldn't let him.
Right.
They wouldn't take the leash off of him, let him do what he could do. And it was basically what they did with El Dandy. They looked at him and said, well, you might be a great worker down in Mexico, but you don't look like much. So you're a job guy here, for lack of a better term. He was certainly near the bottom of the totem pole of the luchadors anyway.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He was. The problem is I get it. He may be that, but when you're jobbing to luchadors, you know, you're one of those guys that is doing all the jobs. Like, who are you to take it? We can't take you serious. So,
oh no, from a WCW standpoint, it was a great line from a heel Bret Hart.
Yeah, I liked it. It's infamous at this point. So funny.
Sure, I'm sure there's memes aplenty out there. Who are you to doubt El Dandy? This is the greatest hyena of them all.
Oh man.
Booker T with these breathe right nose strips. I remember those just came out, and Booker T started rocking them immediately. Now, Ahmed, I think, started doing it at some point too.
Yeah, Ahmed will pick him up. Sting, man, he just doesn't have. It's crazy to see Sting here. Like, he does not have the hops that we're accustomed to.
Well, he's put on a little weight too, and I'm not saying he's out of shape. I just, he's
he's
built differently.
He's just old.
Yeah,
you just get old. It happens. Unless you're doing what Luger's doing, you're going to get not as defined, and you're going to put on a few pounds. Unless you're doing what Luger's doing.
And what Luger's doing right now is trying to get the win. Lex Luger doing a few offensive moves, believe it or not. Don't tell me Lex Luger's going to a back suplex. Wow. He came to work tonight.
I mean, he can work when he wants to.
I don't know if that's possible here in 96. There's that jumping elbow that he loved to try. That goes all the way back to the Crockett days.
Yeah, he's not getting nearly as high either.
No.
Anymore. Oh, man. Not that he was ever known for hops, but that elbow, he used to get real high on that elbow. And it always looked good.
I feel like Ahmed Johnson wanted to be Booker T. I mean, he eventually stole his T, if you remember that in WCW. So,
yeah.
I mean, I think he always wanted to be Booker T. I mean, he followed him with the breathe right nose strip. He followed him with the axe kick, which he abandoned because he couldn't do it for shit. If you remember that one show we were watching, he tried the Harlem Hangover. Thank God he missed. He would have killed the guy that was laying there.
Oh, Lord.
I think it was Jeff Jarrett, maybe. I don't remember, but it's crazy to think of all the similarities that Ahmed would follow on Booker T, and then he would come to WCW eventually and steal his name, Big T. Another thing I would love to forget, but it never goes away. I always remember Ahmed Johnson in WCW. It looked like Ahmed had swallowed Ahmed.
Yeah. Oh, man. He got massive. I mean, he was letting himself go at the end of his WWF run just with all the injuries and everything else.
Yeah.
He really sticks out he just looks lazy. Like, he's barely moving out there sometimes. And at the end of 97.
Yeah, he made Lex Luger, 96 Lex Luger look like a hell of a worker by the time Ahmed was finishing up in the WWF.
I watched Rumble 97 a few days ago, and the way he moves in that ring, man, he's just barely. He's trotting to the back to chase down Farouk.
Isn't that where he falls?
Struggling.
Doesn't he fall through the curtain?
Owen falls through the curtain.
You're right. It's Owen. That's right. Yeah.
At 98. But now 97, that's when he does the Pearl River plunge through the table on, I think, D'Lo or somebody. The big boy. And he's just stumbling and barely moving. And he has this damn, 12x4, it's massive. It's bigger than ugly. He is, the board, and he can't swing it.
Yeah, it's like freaking 9 feet long. That shitty piece of board.
He's just barely moving. He sticks out so bad at how lazy he's gotten. And That kidney injury just sapped him of everything. I feel like.
Yeah.
Unfortunate. Came in like a house of fire. And he's one of those guys that got impacted big time by Bill Watts leaving after 2 weeks. He just didn't feel like the same after that.
Wow, what was that? Stevie Ray trying to go for a power bomb there?
He doesn't know.
I don't know. God, I think back all the way to 92 when I first saw Stevie Ray and Booker T on ESPN. I said, who are these guys? I mean, look at them, dude. They stick out. Like how huge they are, and they look like stars, just the way they look. And then Booker T, his ability and the way he was moving around that ring like a cat at his size and global. And I just always thought, like, man, why are these guys here? I thought that about Steve Austin, and then boom, he's on WCW. I mean, I'm not a talent scout, certainly not back at, age 11, 12, but at the same time, I mean, you just see some guys and they look like they belong in a bigger level. And lo and behold, it wasn't too long before Kane and Cole, the Harlem Heat, popped up on WCW, and immediately I said, that's Stevie Ray and Booker T. Why wouldn't they just let them use their names? And then for some reason, randomly out of nowhere one week, they became, and it was they were Kane and Cole forever. I don't remember how long, but it was a long period of time before they let him switch to Booker T and Stevie Ray.
Almost a year.
Yeah, it was quite a while. It was almost like Thurman Sparky Plug. Now, I don't remember when he switched over, but it was quite a while before he became Bob Holly. And then they just randomly changed his name. Look at that axe kick. So good. Booker T was so good, and I never cared for any of his WWE run. None of it, from the day he came in. I don't know if it was the guys he was getting put in there with, or if maybe he changed up his style a little bit to pacify the, higher-ups in the WWE, or what it was, but I loved his stuff in WCW.
Yeah, he was good. I don't know what it is about his WWF run. It's kind of weird. I didn't mind the King Booker gimmick. I thought he played the gimmick very well. But I think what the difference is in WCW, he's trying to make a name for himself. He's trying to possibly be seen, be noticed by somebody. So he's doing different things. Obviously, that Best of 7 series with Benoit is awesome. Things like that. But I think in the WWF, like you said, he adapted his style and he just became one of those WWF guys. And don't necessarily have to work as hard. He fell trapped to that, but I'm just happy he did get that King Booker run, because after he got screwed out of WrestleMania 19 and the buzzsaw known as Triple H in 2003 and WCW stars, I'm glad he was able to get that run and at least get a title run out of it.
Yeah, I thought that was the gimmick was enjoyable. I thought he did it well. I didn't really watch SmackDown. I never really watched SmackDown. I bet I can count on one hand how many full episodes of SmackDown I watched during the entire, from the debut through the original brand split till now, to be honest with you. And so I knew all about the gimmick. I'd seen some things, and there's Sting, low bridge on the rope there, and Sting goes flying out to the floor, and it looks like Harlem Heat's going to take over here on Stinger. But I just, I thought he did a good job with it, but it's still his work. I'm not saying he wasn't capable of having good matches. It's just his style had changed. And here we go. Animal, what is the Road Warriors out here? Hawk distracting the ref. Animal nails Stevie Ray with something. Did you get a look at what that was?
It looks like they're spike or something, like a elbow pad.
It looked like some kind of
an elbow pad,
metal or something, the way he was holding it.
I wonder if it's like a wristband.
I'm not sure what it was, but he hits Stevie Ray with it, and Lex Luger falls on top, and Luger gets the win. So Sting has no idea what just happened. I would presume anyway. He was on the floor with Booker T, and the Road Warriors now screw the Harlem Heat out of winning the titles because they want a shot at Lex Luger later in the night. So they aid Lex Luger in getting the win, is the story here. And the Harlem Heat are robbed yet again. How do you feel about heels? The Harlem Heat are heels, Steve. They've now lost twice in a row by the baby faces cheating.
Yeah, it's definitely awkward. And like I said, if you're not watching TV with some of this stuff, you're completely lost because I always, you always just assume Harlem Heat were bad guys and they're the ones that do stuff like this. But I guess with Luger being in play, this makes everything a little different. But I do remember now why it's Sting and Booker T uncensored. It's because Luger's in the cage match.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He is part of the Alliance 10 Hulkamania, or at least he's out there during the cage match. I don't remember if he was a legal participant in that match or not. They had to add more. Who else is walking around back here, dude? You want to be in the match, Lex? Well, you going to pay me extra, Hulk? You got it, brother.
Oh, speaking of this.
Speaking of
we got
what?
time here. We got time here. So the very first Nitro, I wish I would have known this when we first filmed the first episode of Monday Warfare, but if you pay for Patreon, you get the story. But no, the very first Nitro, Luger is staring down the Hogan. You know how they stare down each other, then they go to commercial?
Right.
In the middle, during the commercial break, Luger smiles at Hogan, and it pissed Hogan off. He's like, dude, you're taking money off my table. Wipe that stupid-ass smile off your face and take this serious. And it pissed Hogan off bad. Like his very first night. He's like, it was a success outside of pissing Hogan off during the commercial break. And I guess he went to the back and apologized profusely to him. He was like, I'm sorry, man. I just figured we was during commercial. Get a little moment there. And he's like, no, you take it serious the whole time. This is how we get paid. This is our living. You go out there and you take it serious from bell to bell until we're done filming. Don't ever do that crap again. And so then he said in 97, when he wins that title on Nitro, Hogan gave the blessing to do it. Like he was okay with it. So
right.
Obviously.
Well, I would have to imagine. I don't think he would have done the job if he didn't want to do the job.
Right. Obviously, it didn't hinder Luger per se as far as his career in WCW by pissing off Hogan the very first night in, but it could have went bad for him real quick.
Yeah, Hogan's always got, an ulterior motive, though. Obviously, lose the belt to win it. Things like that.
Yeah, well, that makes sense, but I just mean, like, Luger, you messed up, buddy.
Right.
If you off it, you just signed that deal, you're gone after that. But
so
he said that they're cool and they're cordial, and they were fine after that. Business was business, and
I can't see Hulk Hogan really hating anyone. He's so business oriented that you never hear tell of Hogan just hating someone too much. I mean, he had his little feuds with Savage, and all of a sudden they made up. Had his feud with the Warrior. Supposedly we saw the footage. I didn't see them really make up per se, but Hogan thinks they did. But in general, he doesn't really walk around talking. Oh, this guy was an ass. This guy was a this. This guy was a that. So I think when there's money to be made, Hogan, he doesn't see anything but green. So I don't think he let a lot of shit like that get in his way. Right.
There's one positive you say about him is I bet you he doesn't have a fond feeling of Bret Hart. I'll tell you.
No, I'm sure there's shit there.
Most people don't like Bret Hart either. Well, obviously there is shit there. We'll talk about that later. But
so
here we go. Here's Conan's gear.
He's got the Lucha mask and the gear that he was wearing earlier when he was talking to Mean Gene. And he's already U.S. champion. He's already beat the Gang for the title because, like I said, they didn't even want Gang to really be a champion. Gang just kind of came in to fill a void for the Yeti experiment in the dungeon way back World War III period. And they gave him the U.S. title just to take it off Sasaki after the Starrcade pay-per-view went off the air. And it wasn't too much longer. Conan comes in and gets the belt. And this is the rematch. So they're giving... You mean they watched this match once and thought it was a good idea to put it on twice? This can't be pretty.
That jacket did zip in the back, or
let's see, there you
Velcro
go.
in the back.
But this is 96. It's I don't know.
Yeah, that jacket would have been pretty cool if it was worn the other way around.
Hey man, he's Vatos Locos and peeling potatoes and eating salad and whatever the fuck else he was doing, tossing salad. Yeah, that's it. We're going to do the timestamp here real quick for everybody. We're at 59 minutes, 8, 9, 10, 11 seconds. And Gang already face-washing Conan with the boot in the corner.
It's probably the extent of his offense.
Gang a little trimmer here in this run than he had been in previous runs. There's actually a Nitro where Hogan, imagine this, Steve, there's a Nitro right around this time where Hogan, wow, look at Conan with some hops there. It wouldn't be long before Conan became, it's like working like Jim Duggan in WWF. Didn't leave his feet unless he had to. But at this point, he doesn't realize that he doesn't have to work yet. Jumps over the gang. I thought he was going to jump off the gang.
That's what I thought, too. He probably thought better of it.
See what we got going on here. Oh, through the ropes, and there's the stairs again getting away. Gang saw it, so he had to brace himself. That would have been pretty cool had they not had to stop there and to make sure they didn't kill himself. But I was in a rolling senton. Conan didn't really get to rotate there, but the gang taking some bumps. I was going to mention, though, believe it or not, there was a Nitro recently going into here where Hogan cleared the ring of the entire Dungeon of Doom by himself. And when he hit the gang shot about 7 feet in the air, cleared the top rope, and bumped to the floor. That's selling for Hogan.
He knows who he needs to impress. He's trying to get one more run out of it. What's funny is he wanted to be a Keem for the gimmick battle royal, but he said he lost so much weight.
His gear didn't fit him. Right, yep.
You can clearly tell he was losing weight here. Like, he's real trim compared to that Akeem days.
Yeah, he's definitely more mobile here, too. But what's great about the gang and his size, obviously he was very young, too. That helped a lot as well, even with the weight. He was a hell of a bumper and worker in the 80s. I mean, if you go back and watch the UWF stuff, I mean, wow, what great matches there in the Mid-South and the UWF, and really pretty much anything he did. Even if you go back and watch his selling for Hogan and his selling for Savage during the Mega Power era.
Oh, yeah. He's the one who took that bump through the ropes.
Through the ropes at Saturday Night's Main Event. That wasn't intentional. That was a Scott Steiner-esque bump. Just hits the ropes and falls through the ropes, and that was a nasty bump.
Oh, that could definitely take somebody out.
Especially when they weigh 450 pounds or more at the time. Land on your head, break your neck. The gang with a side slam. This one can't go too long. We've seen some lengthy matches. I mean, for a pay-per-view in this era on the undercard anyway, the bad match went like 15 minutes. That Sting and Luger Harlem Heat match went about 12 minutes.
Yeah, this one definitely. Oh, then you got that fiasco coming up here.
I thought that, I was dreading the Luger tag match, but I felt like it was passable. It wasn't good, but it was just passable. It felt like a TV match. It was just there. It didn't really offend me as much as I was fearing anyway.
Well, there's another one coming, so you should have held off on your your opinions of these.
No,
matches.
I didn't want to. That's why I brought it up now, because I feel like my opinion's going to change later. So I wanted to give him his credit now, because I don't think he can hang in there for 2 matches.
That's nice of you. You know what, though? What he does when he's coming to the ring is better than anything he did in that match. So
interesting. Okay.
It's going to be a piss break, I'll tell you that. He's getting his Michael Hayes on. He's channeling Michael Hayes.
Well, he's not getting paid to wrestle twice. He's just getting paid for the pay-per-view. So I already did what I needed to do.
Pretty much,
I got to go back out there again.
Do you really think that's how the conversation went?
In his mind, yes. I believe he talks to himself in the mirror, or in his mind, yeah. Fuck this. I done did my shit. If they think I'm going to jump up in the air twice on the same show and miss an elbow drop, fuck that. That's what I think he was saying.
He's saying that in the mirror. He's back.
Look at that. It's the old WCW Motorsports driver, Steve Grissom, in the crowd. They gave him a free ticket. He looks like he's enjoying himself a little bit there. Do you think he won more races than Bob Holly?
Probably. I mean, at least he's on the NASCAR circuit. He's probably enjoying him some WCW, man. When you can get a full-time sponsor like WCW, you're doing okay. You don't have to worry
because it's Turner. Shit. Yeah, I mean it's not
he's
even
living the dream.
Yeah, it says WCW by title, but at the same time, it's Turner money. It's guaranteed money.
Yeah, exactly. Some people would kill to have Turner backing him on the racing team right now.
I haven't seen Randy Anderson yet tonight. I've seen Nick Patrick and Jimmy Jett and Randy Eller here. I haven't seen old Randy Anderson. I'm hoping he's here. Love Randy Anderson in there.
Yeah, I do too. He's underappreciated. To me, he's right up there with the Tommy Youngs and Nick Patricks.
I felt, of his period in WCW, I felt like he was, by the time he had been there a few years, he was the Hebner of the WCW. That's not a knock on Patrick, who had been there a little longer, but Randy Anderson had been around too. He goes all the way back to Mid-South. Look at Konnan coming off, flipping into Gang. Looks like he's looking for a Hurricane Rana. Well, the Gang kind of flipped through with it.
Konnan's trying to do too much fancy shit with the guy too big to do it.
Yeah, and we won't see Konnan do fancy shit at all here. What the hell was that? Konnan was apparently supposed to miss a drop kick, but the Gang was 3 feet away to begin with, so the Gang never even moves. Konnan just drop kicks the air and takes a bump. Gang with the 747 and pulls Konnan up on the 2 count because the Gang does that all the time.
You hit your finisher and you pull him up. This is just, there's no way it doesn't lead to something bad.
And the Gang's going to go up. He's going up, Steve. He's getting to the middle rope. 747 from the middle rope. I bet he misses. I'm calling it right now. Konnan moves before the Gang even jumps. Dear God.
Konnan's taking no chances. Talk about two guys that don't need to be in the ring together. These are it.
Somersault flip from the top onto the Gang. Gets the pin. Konnan retains. About 7.5 minutes, I think. And Konnan goes out and slaps hands after winning. This is like classic old WWF entrance shit here. Slapping hands all the way around the ring.
What's wrong with slapping hands?
Well, it's just silly. He just won. He should get the hell out of there. Or celebrate in the ring. I have a problem with them two in the ring together. I hope they never work again. Total contrast. And I felt like it could have been better if Konnan had just worked the style of a guy like you mentioned of the Gang. He's trying to do way too much shit that's not suitable for a guy the size of the Gang.
He thinks he's in there with Eddie Guerrero. It should get better next pay-per-view for at least Konnan.
Call the hotline. Well, yeah, he's wrestling Eddie Guerrero. It can only get better than that, whatever the hell that just was. And that was not all the Gang's fault. That was Konnan trying to do things he shouldn't have tried. That was Konnan screwing up a few spots.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he's a big proponent. I mean, he really changed the game no matter how lazy he got, joined the dungeon, started being rowdy and bowdy, and, tried not to work. Basically the Mexican Lex Luger by the time WCW's over with. But he's the liaison, the guy who brought all of the lucha talent in. So you have to credit Konnan for at least that much.
That, and he also, I don't care if he worked well or not, he got over. That dude was over, like, insanely over.
It's ridiculous.
Just for cutting the same promo every week. Because he said, like, called people snowflakes and other stuff. So
strawberry fools.
Yeah, strawberries and dingleberries and everything else he's talking about. And so, I mean, it's like, if mentally me, I'm like, okay, I can come out here and cut a promo that's kind of funny. The crowd's going to pop. I'm going to be over. And then I can work like shit, show flashes every now and then, and I'm good. Or continue to bust my ass like I'm, I don't know, mentally I'm thinking I'm just going to go the Konnan route, K-Dog route.
So we got a Roadies promo on the screen right now. Do you think Hawk's being entertaining right now, or do you think Hawk's promo's ability is ship has sailed by 1996?
He's probably doing okay.
Well, I guess we'll never know. This one looks over with. And you know what it's time for, Steve? It's time for the respect match, the strap match between Kevin Sullivan and Brian Pillman, where in order to win, you must get your opponent to announce that they respect you. And there's Kevin Sullivan on his way to the ring, and he's had some issues with Brian Pillman. We're actually going to pick up some audio on this one once Pillman gets to the ring.
You have to, right?
Pretty much.
The only guaranteed audio that we got to put up on these WCW shows is Pillman.
Yeah, well, and Bobby Heenan in regards to Brian Pillman.
Pillman's the cue to turn on some sound. Yep, there's Jimmy Jet back, so no Randy Anderson. I wonder,
are they saving him for the big matches? Has he just got the night off? Something going on? No, not at this point. Not at this point.
Not at this point. I hate the angle that they do with him when they fire him.
He's heading out here, so we'll listen to this and we'll talk about everything on the other side.
Oh, they are going at it. They are not waiting to get hooked up by a leather strap. Oh my goodness, they got a fight going on here.
Well, I told you it's just going to be Katie Baldador right here. I don't know how they're going to get them strapped up, but they are really going at it. Whoa, baby.
Flying Brian trying as all he can to whip Kevin Sullivan, who's just hanging on to it.
Kevin Sullivan's chewing his ankle off.
This is a Donnybrook.
Yeah, Donnybrook is right, and he has got that strap, and he is raking him around the eyes. And oh, man, let me tell you, respect is the name of the game in this one right here at SuperBrawl VI.
Ladies and gentlemen, we haven't seen anything like this in a long time. Oh, Sullivan hit him right in the jaw. He hit him right in the jaw and almost knocked him out. And now he kicks him in the solar plexus, and they're not even thinking about a leather strap right now. Jimmy Jet has a wireless microphone.
Yeah, I don't think this is what Aretha Franklin meant.
You, Booker man.
Oh, he said, I respect you.
Respect you. And he walked.
And he walked out.
And so that's basically the match. You had to have your opponent say, I respect you. And Pillman does it on his own. Militia, there was no reason for him to do it. He just chose he came out there and put a whipping on Sullivan. Sullivan starts fighting back and Pillman goes in the corner. I respect you. And then Booker, man.
To the crowd.
And it was big. That was huge. And, we talk quite a bit lately on the Monday Warfare show about people wondering where the real Brian Pillman began and ended at this point. How crazy was he in real life? It confused wrestlers. It confused higher ups in the WCW and the WWF. I'm sure in ECW they didn't give a shit. And I mean, it's crazy because nobody really knew where he was coming from. And he passed off the gimmick so well here. You almost felt like this was real. I know, I can tell you when I was watching this, and by now I learned some of the smart mark terms. I knew what a booker was. And when he said that, I was debating, what did he say? Did he say booker, man? Because I said, I don't remember who I was watching this pay-per-view with, but I remember explaining to them what a booker was. And I was like, did he say that? You can't say that. That's wrestling terms, and which is what he said. It was the first time something like that had been done. And it was crazy because you wonder, oh, he's getting fired now because he just said that shit. And I have to say, I can't say that it was for sure, but I remember in my mind at this time when I was watching this pay-per-view, the very first time that a match felt like it ended off script. You know what I mean? Like Pillman went into business for himself. He shut the match down. That's it. He's leaving the company. He walked out. There's no way he's coming back after that. And that's the way I felt when I remember watching this live. I was like, holy shit. What did we just watch here? It's one of those worked shoots that worked for me back then because they were brand new to the business.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was unique and different. And I don't know if it was Kevin Sullivan in on it?
Yeah, everybody. I mean, that was the storyline. I mean, that was the storyline. I mean, he was supposed to go out here and do this.
So this was okay, because the way the match looked, it just looked like Pillman came in charging and Sullivan wasn't ready for it, so he's just going to grab the leg and not let it get out of control. So even in that aspect, they really covered all their bases, and definitely, yeah, when I first heard it, I rented the tape, and I was like, what the hell did he say? I had to rewind it and make sure he said what he said, and I'm like, oh, wow, that's different. You don't say that very often.
No, and you'd never seen that prior to this. You never saw a match feel like it ended off script, and that's what really caught me. Like, it was really the talk of the town, as far as I don't remember who I was watching this. We were really talking about that, like, holy shit. And then this looked real. I mean, for wrestling standards. So now we don't have a match, even though we were supposed to have a match, and we're supposed to believe that Pillman ruined it. So here comes Arn Anderson out here, in street clothes and shorts and shoes, boots, it looks like. And he's replacing Brian Pillman in the match because we're supposed to have a match. So now we're getting Arn Anderson and Kevin Sullivan in a strap match instead.
For a little bit anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, they did it. Like I said, they did a really good job of covering all their bases. They made sure every aspect of this angle was worked to make it feel like it was real. And they did a hell of a job with it. If you remember one thing from this show, it's this match. And it's not even a match. It's just, you remember Pillman doing this.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I remember. When I remember when we spoke recently before we were going to cover this pay-per-view, and on the recent Nitros, they started selling the double cage matches, the double main event. And I told you, I must have blocked this out of my head because I don't remember it at all. And I can't really say that for anything else in this era, that I just don't remember anything about it. And then I did some digging and I go, oh, this is the I Respect You. I know that segment. So I remember that. I also remember that the Public Enemy and the Nasties worked again after the Clash. So that rung a bell too. Outside of that, man, this was all brand new to me for the first time and probably since it aired. To the fact that I don't remember the main events tells me I probably didn't watch the main events anyway beyond the original airing way back in 96.
You probably half paying attention then anyway.
25 years ago.
Yeah. I've watched this show a few times. I can't say I watched it a ton, but I mean, I rented it, and obviously it's been aired on Classics On Demand. It's on the network. So there's, like I said, there's times where I just get a feather up my ass and I watch 96 pay-per-views, 97, whatever. And I'll just watch them in order, kind of get a feel for what was going on in the companies at the time. And so I've seen this a few times, and
not sure what Arn was going for there, because the strap is on the outside of the ring and Sullivan's inside the ring, and Arn, I don't know, he got thrown off the top anyway. Ric Flair running down. Jimmy Hart went and got Ric Flair. I don't understand this Jimmy Hart tie-in with Ric Flair. It really confused me. Makes sense going forward, at least to Uncensored, but this friendship's been going on at least since before Starrcade.
Maybe he's the liaison between the Horsemen and the Dungeon.
And Jimmy Hart in the ring. Now Ric Flair on the mic. He's basically giving shit to both sides, both Kevin Sullivan and Arn Anderson. Wrestling one another doesn't help their cause. It doesn't do anything for the Horsemen or the Dungeon of Doom. Ric Flair trying to make sense of all this. My question is, why does he have an issue with Arn Anderson wrestling Kevin Sullivan, but he had no issue when Brian Pillman was scheduled to wrestle Kevin Sullivan?
Well, the story is Pillman bringing shit on to himself, whereas Arn's continually fighting Pillman's battles. So he doesn't want Arn wasting his time with this crap. Pillman needs to take care of it if anybody is. My question is, why the hell is the dude who's either who's the champion? Savage is the champion?
Right. He's in the cage match, yeah.
Yeah, so Savage is the champion. I didn't know Flair was still champion or not going into this, but Flair has a world title match. Why the hell is he shouldn't be having to worry about this. He should be worried about the title. Well,
you can't get enough Ric Flair promos even on pay-per-view. And he's out here making friends, making amends between the Dungeon and the Horsemen for the sake of eventually trying to take out Hulk Hogan next month.
I cannot wait for that.
The alliance to end Hulkamania. We're going to see Zeus and Ultimate Solution and everyone that's not contracted to work another match, all in one big monstrosity.
Pillman, the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah.
Smartest guy in the room.
Basically, the story of the strap match was somebody had to say, "I respect you," in order to end the strap match. Well, Pillman did that, so Arn Anderson really didn't have to come out there and replace Brian because the match actually happened, if you want to be technical. And then Arn, feeling bad, like he needed to stick up for the Horsemen or cover the Horseman name, comes out and begins to wrestle Kevin Sullivan in a strap match, unsanctioned or not really an impromptu strap match. And then Ric Flair comes out. I didn't know you could end a strap match by just agreeing to end the strap match. Seems like there should have been a winner. Feel a little ripped off there. But that was all Angle City. Well, that was all Angle City mixed with some some action. So it wasn't just a promo.
Yeah, I don't feel cheated. I don't really want any more of Kevin Sullivan in the ring. I'm good. How awesome does the Giant look? I know we say that all the time, but man, if he could somehow just stay this way, he would have been. The problem is he hung his hat on Hogan's.
Well, he listened to he had a lot of bad advice, I'm sure, in his early years between Hogan and then Hall and Nash coming in and feeding him whatever they fed him to. And by the time he got the hell out of there and went over to the WWF, he had put on a few pounds and.
Yeah. What a waste. If Vince got this version of the Giant, holy. Before Hogan and the NWO can ruin him. Yeah,
it was quite a coup. Picking him up, scooping him up, whoever saw him, working for Larry Sharp and signed him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Looks like we're about halfway through the pay-per-view at this point. We're an hour, 20 minutes, and 36 seconds, 37, 38, 39, 40. And Mean Gene there with the Giant. And Jimmy Hart sticking around because he can never say enough. What do you think Jimmy's saying right here? You think he's shilling his bar down there in Florida if it's still open with the COVID?
Who, Jimmy?
Yeah.
Who, Hogan?
Jimmy's bar.
Oh, Jimmy has a bar? I thought Hogan had a bar too. I know he has the beach shop, but...
Jimmy's bar, they only have cans. They don't have bottles. That I know, because that's the way he always sells it. We don't have bottles, but we do have cans, baby. I'm assuming that might have something to do with being on the beach, keeping the glass. I don't know, but it's just funny. And Jimmy Hart cracks me up, man. Between that and his beans and taters on Legends House.
Yeah, I didn't watch Legends House.
Oh,
sorry,
man.
I got nothing for you.
Come on, man. Yeah, Jimmy don't eat meat, man. That's all he eats. Beans and taters. The roadies
was so good for his age.
Roadies making their way out. Yeah, it always shocks me when I look up how old Jimmy Hart is. He's well into his 70s, I think, at this point. And he probably hasn't aged too much. I mean, he's got those sunglasses on, so it's hard to say, but doesn't look to have aged too much since his WCW run.
No, definitely not. Jimmy's he's been graced with some good, decent genes. I'll say that.
And it's part 2 of Lex Luger's night in the ring as he teams with Stinger, walking a good 30 feet behind Sting on the way to the ring. Maybe they have some issues? Stinger not happy about earlier?
No issues. Luger's just afraid to get in a ring with the roadies.
Oh, that could be it. Either that or he wanted to make sure he was far enough away from Sting so that the camera had to make sure they got a shot of Luger by himself as well.
Well, yeah, that too.
And so the Road Warrior's already in the ring now, and Luger, the last one, reluctantly, as you pointed out, he's backing up. He's back in the aisle. He's pulling a Michael Hayes.
He's taking Michael Hayes' gimmick to like the max.
Hey, take a Michael Hayes. And Luger really taking, you're right, because Luger's leaving. Luger leaves town. Luger leaves town match right here. Sting has to track Luger down all the way back at the entrance. The roadies step out of the ring to go after Luger. They're not going to run. Lex knows that, so he walks all the way back to the entrance. Sting has to track him down. Lex, now you got to walk out twice, man. That's all right. I'm not doing anything in the ring. So here we go again.
Go ahead, get 10 feet ahead of me so the camera can get me by myself.
That's right.
Go ahead.
Sting, get out of the camera, man. It's my turn. As he once again slowly makes his way down to the ring. This might be the most entertaining thing that Lex Luger does in this match, I'd have to imagine.
Probably the most entertaining thing he does in all of 96.
That could be. I wouldn't put it past him. He's backing up. Oh, he's leaving again. I'm not even.
Come on, guys. I'm done.
Do I really have to wrestle twice?
That's the real issue here. He doesn't want to be in. It's not necessarily the Road Warriors. He just doesn't want to work twice.
They told us to go 14 minutes So tell him to ring the bell, and I'll spend half of it just walking back and forth in the aisle. We'll call it a day.
Michael Hayes made a career of that in 1989. Why can't I do it here in 96?
He made a career of that beyond 1989.
Oh, man. He got a second career doing that. Sting didn't even bother repainting the face.
No reason to. And Animal and Hawk, they still have their full makeup on because they beat Bunkhouse Buck and Dick Slater in 2 minutes. That's not really fair because they both had matches earlier in the night, but the roadies get a 2-minute squash, basically. Sting and Luger had to work Harlem Heat, but to be fair, it took the roadies to help them even advance to this match. Luger really stalling here. Sting's like, dude, let's get the hell in here. Pay-per-view's only got 3 hours.
That girl didn't mind him.
I'm sure some females didn't. Rick Rude was the ultimate heel during his WWF run, and while he was sitting there talking shit to the Warrior and making fun of Boss Man's mom, my aunt was in love with him. So she wished she could be the one that got the Rude Awakening. So I mean, it's people like the heels sometimes, the good-looking heels, I guess, anyway. I'm sure a lot of chicks are into the Luger body.
How many of them women went to the shows to watch the shows and just there to be with their guy or whatever, just like a date? I will go, why not? Just hang out.
Animal is going to chase Luger down. Does this end with one of these guys grabbing Luger and carrying him to the ring? Because that's what it feels like at this point. This has gone on. I hope the bell is sounded. Because if I have to watch
Sting's like, I'm done with this shit.
Yeah, Sting's like, you guys go get him this time. I'm done. I hope the bell has sounded by this point, because if we get another 15 minutes after all of this, oh, man. Who we got? Nick Patrick? I hope he rang the bell. Luger, really, they must have been told they're running short. They go long. Stall. You want me to stall? No problem.
I do that best. Finally, he touched the ring post.
That's as close as he's got to the ring so far in this match anyway. Let's get this thing started, guys. Sting's in the ring. Let's just get going here.
I told you.
Sting had no issue taking on Arn Anderson and Brian Pillman by himself, so let's move along. Luger, he had a knee on it. He thought about getting on the apron. He thought about it.
Just rang the bell.
Well, that's unfortunate. Would have been nice if half the match is already over. Look at Hawk. Man. How high up are Hawk's his gear here? Up to the middle of his gut. Talk about a high waistband. Holy shit.
Oh my. This match goes 14 minutes.
That's what the results said.
Man,
I looked him up out of curiosity. Everybody wants to take the bump out here on these steps. I don't think we've had a match yet where somebody didn't take a bump out onto these steps. There's 3 other sides of the ring, guys.
Those steps need to get out of there.
What kills me even more is there's other ring steps in the corners.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. What are we doing here? We're just walking around the ring. Like, nobody's even running. We're running in slow motion.
What kills me the most about those steps, too, than the way they're positioned. Whoa! Talk about, wow. Oh, Sting tries to cover, though. At least he didn't sell it.
Yeah, that's good.
Sting took a bump on that neck breaker, kind of took it like he was going to take a swinging neck breaker, but everybody knows Hawk does the hangman's. So Sting takes the bump and Hawk's still standing there. And at least Sting was smart enough not to sell it, jump back on top of Hawk and struggle for position.
And we got the STF. We're not even 45 seconds to a minute into this match, and we're in a rest hold.
Hey, man, the STF was a finisher. Masachono's finisher, Eric Watts' finisher. Luthez. Yeah. That was his that was his big finish. He put it on. Didn't you see the segment where he puts it on Arn Anderson in a gas station parking lot? Tremendous. Because that's what I do when somebody attacks me in a gas station. I put them in a fucking STF.
Why not? Got them on the ground, they ain't getting up.
The gasoline was right there. Arn should have just set him on fire and we would have been done with it.
That would have been excellent.
the fiend 30 years early.
The Horseman either murdered or murdering somebody.
Well, Watts wanted Eaton and Arn Anderson off TV because he said they looked too old. And so by that point, he was using Arn really just to get his boy over because he knew, Arn was a hell of a worker. So put him in that feud there and did what they did and took them both off TV there at different points and things.
Just ridiculous. Where do these ideas come from? I don't want to get too far off here, but there's really nothing going on in this match. Luger just tagged in.
That's a Bill Watts. Now you know nothing's going on in the match because Luger tagged in.
Yeah. My thing is like, are we that obsessed of a society to where it's just based off what people look like instead of what they can do in the ring?
Well, I'm not gonna argue.
Every single promoter feels like they have it figured out on what people want to see and what doesn't need to be on TV and what can be on TV.
Yeah, and Vince is the biggest proponent of that, but I never really heard Watts do things that I was aware of. I mean, he was using Ernie. I mean, Ernie Ladd was a great friend of his, so I'm sure that had a lot to do with it too, but he had Ernie Ladd working shows when Ladd really had no business working shows. So I think it was just more cosmetic based on because he could do it, because they were low down on the card enough to where it wasn't, as big of a deal. Hot animal with that boot and digs a bump with it. Loses his balance.
And I'm not meaning just Watts. I just mean like just in general. It seems like there's a lot of like Bischoff. Well, I don't see anything in you for Mark Marrow or Johnny B. Bad.
That makes no sense. I mean, he certainly wasn't because of his age. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't understand that either. So I just don't know like what these people are thinking. I don't know, man. Maybe we can discuss that on an episode of the Power Hour or something.
Sure, we could. And I hate to say this because Bobby Eaton's one of my favorite wrestlers of all times. But I almost kind of get Bobby. Bobby didn't look like a whole lot of much, and if that's what Watts wanted to do, I guess that's what Watts wanted to do. But Arn Anderson looked like a wrestler, so his just goes down to being balding. Really, is what it comes down to. I would guess. Yeah. And
to me, like Bobby Eaton, his whole career didn't look like anything special as far as his look.
Right.
But the bell rang.
But he could work.
He could work like $1 million. He was great, no doubt about it. And that's what I want to see. I don't give a shit what he looks like.
When Stan Lane and Jim Cornette left after Havoc, a little bit after Havoc 90, I thought that was the worst thing in the world. I was like, what is Bobby Eaton going to do? Because I love the Midnights. They were like my favorite heel team in the WCW and NWA through that period when they were there. And when he left, I was bummed, man. Like my Midnights were gone and they were just getting ready to work the Southern Boys and it was just going to be awesome. And then Bobby started getting that singles run. And I'm like, holy shit, he doesn't have a gimmick. He doesn't have a manager, but he was just good. And then he got so over with the fans just working. He had been there long enough that they respected him, and he was putting on these matches as a heel, and he was getting cheered. They turned him babyface, and he got over to the point where you believed it when he got his world title shot with Flair on the Clash. I was pumped. I was watching that Clash, hoping that Bobby Eaton was going to somehow win the world title that night.
Right, yeah. And that's because he's a great worker. Like, being a great worker is going to outshine anything. I think at the end of the day, nobody cares if they're ugly or what they look like. If you're over, you're over. Whatever gets you over, it gets you over. It doesn't matter what you look like. That's kind of what I'm saying. It boggles the mind, some of these stereotypes and pigeonholes that people are put into just because they think this is what works or this is what we want to see. Like, I knew immediately when the Shield made their debut that Roman Reigns was going to be the hand-chosen one. He was bigger. He had the look.
Yeah.
And you just knew it. The first time you seen him, like, that's the guy. That's Vince's guy right there.
Oh.
Obviously, like, Seth and Dean Ambrose were going to be the better workers. They're going to probably be the better talkers just because that's the way it goes. And that's kind of the way it turned out. And, but still, look at Roman now. He's still the guy.
Right.
Or trying to be the guy. And it's just, I don't know, man. I just feel like wrestling would be a lot better if none of that stuff mattered. What the hell is Luger doing? Is he in the Royal Rumble?
I don't know what the hell Luger was. For anyone not watching along with us, they did a spot just a couple of seconds ago. Sting and Animal were in the ring, and Sting and Animal collide. Sting bounces back off the ropes. Animal bumps. Then Sting accidentally falls down, and his headbutts Animal low blow to the balls there. And Hawk kind of looks back like, did he do that on purpose? So good sell there by Hawk. Like he's questioning. Was that intentional? Yeah. It was clearly not intentional. Sting's still a baby face here. He didn't mean to headbutt Animal in the nuts. But that's just a little bit of storytelling here. Is Sting going to go heel? They continue this. Looks like I thought maybe we'd see a Stinger splash there, but we're not that fortunate to be that near the end of the show or match anyway.
We got some doozies coming up too, man.
Don't remind me.
Michael Buffer twice.
Well, Sting off the top with the splash, but Animal gets his knees up, and it might be hot tag time to Hawk rocking the mom pants here, pulled up to his breasticles. Luger gets the hot tag, and Hawk doesn't even let him in the ring, just starts beating the shit out of him on the apron.
And the crowd can care less. Let's point that out. Like,
that's
they're not
another.
even up for this.
Yeah, that's another thing I was gonna mention. I didn't watch the pay-per-view ahead of time. Sometimes I will to kind of remind myself of what I'm walking into. But I didn't in this instance, but I did go to the first 3 matches or so on the show, just random points in the match to get a feel. And the crowd was dead, really, truthfully, in general. I mean, I'm not saying they're not popping for this or that, maybe a spot or something, but in general, I felt like the crowd was, and look at them, they're sitting on their hands right now. And you have the
woman,
and you have Luger.
Back.
No, what's that?
Like just to the left, there's like a blonde yelling.
Yes.
A brunette, like the brunette's just sitting on her hand playing with her earrings, like chewing bubble gum. Like that's how interested they are in this.
And they're front row, so those tickets aren't cheap. And boom, Luger with a jawbreaker escapes Hawk and Animal back in, but just look at the guys in the ring right now. You have Sting, who is Sting and Lex Luger. That's a pretty big damn tag team. And the Road Warriors have only been back for a couple of weeks. And they haven't been the Road Warriors since they left the WWF at SummerSlam 92.
Yeah. Just like the return of the Road Warriors.
Yeah, not just the WCW, but as a team. In over 3.5 years. Stinger splash, goes for the Scorpion. Hawk has to run off the ropes to close on. Why not just hit him from behind there?
And the crowd's doing nothing, dude. The Stinger splash, and like you can see two angles of the ring and nothing. They're not even moving.
No, and that was, they were trying to go for a spot. The Stinger splash, going for the Scorpion. Nobody even made a movement. It's
so
crazy.
My question is,
why do you pay to come here?
What are you here for?
Yes. I will be honest with you. I was at one of the various times Brock Lesnar returned to the WWE, and I won't lie and say I didn't know in advance. It was kind of a buzz of the day that he was coming back that night, and I just happened to take my kids to that Raw. And when the music hit during the segment where he was supposed to be a surprise return on the show, 18,000 fans jumped up, exploded, erupted. It was a big noise. Brock Lesnar was back. I sat there, Steve. I sat there, and I watched it. I thought it was cool, but I just sat there, and I watched it. And I watched, and I looked around, and I saw 18,000 people jump up in unison. My kids, too. And I thought to myself, I don't need to be here anymore. I'm emotionally detached from the product, the current product.
Right.
And this has been a few years ago now. It's been 5 years ago, maybe more. But
right.
I just knew then, right then and there. I'm like, yeah, I knew he was going to be there, but still, it's still a huge deal. And to hear that music and see him come out, I mean, it's just something you should really enjoy. And I'm not saying it wasn't cool. It was good storytelling and whatever, but it didn't catch me emotionally at all. Like, I was like, oh, that's cool. And that's when I realized, as I looked around at everyone, I don't belong here. I don't need to be here. And I haven't been back to a show since.
Yeah. Man, that's crazy. You don't think of it that way, where you feel like you are that detached. Like, I always say, like, wrestling's always better live. I mean, if you're there, it's still enjoyable and fun, and you can have a good time. But I mean, that's a pretty big moment, especially if you knew, like, that's what you pay to see. And if you ain't getting up out of your seat and not really caring, I mean, you care a little bit, but at the same time, you don't. And that is a telling sign that it's time to hang up the boots as far as going to the shows.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm sure it's at this point, like, if my kids were into it, I would enjoy going just to see them, like, see their reactions and see their fan favorites.
And that's
stuff like
what
that.
that's what triggered the whole thing. I wasn't going for me to begin with. They had never been to a show. I wanted them to attend a show. Unfortunately,
Right.
ticket prices now are just insane for pretty much anything. That's that's a comment a lot of people make nowadays. Back in the day, you could take your kids to go see the circus or wrestling or whatever, and Sting throws himself into the ropes off that whip.
That's a cool spot, though. Not that one, but Sting, Animal no-sold a suplex, and then Animal did a suplex on Sting, and he no-sold it.
Animal keeps falling, losing his balance.
Well, I think he tripped up Luger there. I don't know. But, yeah, it's breaking down. These guys don't need to go 14 minutes. Really, the only guy that could go 14 minutes is Sting at this point. And the Road Warriors offense has been limited for a long time. In '89, they had the same offense. So they're only going to do so much, and you're stretching them thin.
They could go in '89.
Well, yeah, and the fans cared about them, so the heat and the intensity is off the charts.
Everybody fighting their way down the aisle here. What are we going to get? A count out here? Is this match over?
Count out.
Oh, what a shit finish. That's why we get the uncensored match. Okay. So storytelling here anyway. And we've already seen a world tag title match.
With a clean win.
It wasn't clean.
Well, it wasn't clean.
There was a pinfall. Yes, right.
Yeah.
So here we get the double count out between the two teams, which obviously leads to the rematch at Uncensored, which is a Pinfalls Anywhere match, if I remember correctly.
Yes. They're taking advantage of that double camera. They love that.
This is a great idea. Let's just do it every pay-per-view.
They started at World War III, and I mean, that looked great. Let's do it again and again and again.
Look at Woman matching Ric Flair there. They're both rocking the purple.
I like 1989 Woman better.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I like 1985 Woman better. 6 Woman. I mean, she was, oh my God.
She was something.
Her best days were pre-NWA when she was with Sullivan down there in Florida and things. Google those pictures online of her time down there in Florida.
Oh, yeah.
And Flair cutting another promo. He cut one in the ring earlier, and he looks ready. Flair's mad. He won the belt from Savage and gave it right back for whatever reason. I still don't even understand the point of doing the triangle match at Starrcade, then giving Flair the title at Starrcade, only to give it back to Savage a few weeks later. I don't understand all of that. It's like we're already
rating, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. We're already in that hot shot booking of the world title, and it's only a few months into the Monday Night War. And I will say this, Vince seemed to stay tried and true, believe it or not, to his title, at least, here in the early going.
As long as he could, yeah.
Yeah. It did get crazy there during that Austin and Rock and all those guys, that whole era, but when Vince Russo took over, woman, oh woman, won't you marry me now? Woo! Ric Flair.
That about sums it up.
That's about all we got. I mean, that's pretty much the basis of all of his promos during this period here when he's with Woman.
Oh, it gets better. This is like one of the hottest feuds. This is like one of the hottest feuds in '96, man. I'm excited for it. To watch it again.
What's funny is the cage match. I actually saw these two in a cage match back in '92 in the WWF.
The old Big Blue, huh?
Oh, yeah. So I also saw plenty enough of Ric Flair's ass that night as well.
Wonder what Dusty's saying.
What do you think of saying right now, baby?
Shivani laughing.
Time, he's got to really be focused.
What can be going through Savage's mind? He's got that bad arm. I saw them wrapping him up earlier. He's got a bad leg. They were working on that part of him. You know his back's hurt. Now he's got to get into a cage with a man like Ric Flair. Savage, you had a good run, but it's over.
As the cage lowers.
That sounds like fake music to me. That sounds like network music. I could be wrong, but that sounded like network music to me.
Yeah, it's definitely network music. No way WCW's using that.
No, that did not. And WCW used some shit music, but that was that didn't really match the thing. No, see, I guess we would have had to listen to the commentary earlier in the show when they were clowning around. Now they got to be serious because now it's the cage match time.
And Hogan can't even give the title match the main event spot.
Just about to say the same thing. I was just about to say, look at the cage. It was not coming down proper. They got to get somebody up there to pull the cage over.
Oh, yeah, it's the uncensored commercial.
But, yeah, good old Hogan had to make sure he went on last, even though the world title match. I'm sorry, Macho Man and Ric Flair in a cage for the world title couldn't close the show because Hulk Hogan's on here, brother.
One more pay-per-view, man.
Well, it's like I said, he had to beat the entire WCW roster before he takes off because then they get to reboot. They need to reboot some more heels because he beat everyone, dude. Hello, Liz. Think she had any work there? Looks like she had a little bit of work below the neckline.
Guess as good as mine, man.
Let me cut you off.
Macho's still not letting her talk.
Yeah, well, he might pay for that someday. Gonna tell you right now, you don't talk, you don't need to talk. Don't say nothing. Remember all those years in the broom closet? Right back to the closet you're gonna go if you try to speak. Gonna go out there and do the thing.
I love the color scheme.
I do too. I like that blue.
That is sick.
Yeah.
Looks like Indiana Pacer colors a little bit.
I'm glad he's moved away from that red and yellow shit. That stuff just, it looked cheap. It looked like thrift store Macho Man.
Yeah, I think so too. The question I have, do the pants match the jacket? Because he's been kind of ridiculous here lately as far as matching goes.
Man, I wish I had that hat.
No, man. That is sweet. I want the jacket.
I'll take it all, but...
Hit up Lanny Poffo, man. He might be selling it.
Yeah, if he is, it's probably a whole lot more than I'm willing to spend.
Yeah, I think somebody bought his headband from, I don't know, 86, 87, one of them. And I think it was like $1,200 or $1,300 just for the headband.
I'd rather have some ski goggles.
This one dude did get the yellow ones that he wore at one of the pay-per-views. The yellow ones. The yellow rims or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, he had those. He got them event worn by Macho.
Yeah, I mean, if you're rolling around with the money to spend, you can pretty much own anything you want, I would imagine.
Oh, man.
A lot of these multi-millionaires, I won't name them by name, but you get these multi-millionaires out here who brag about their wrestling collections. It's like, well, yeah, dude, if I had, 8 figures in my bank, I'd own some shit too. But I can't justify whatever for some Andre boots or, the boots, whatever for this or that during some major match, let's just say for argument's sake, like Hogan's boots at WrestleMania 3 or, something like that. Like, I don't have whatever the hell that would be to just piss away.
I got you.
That's a down payment on a house.
That's how I look at it. Like, I don't envy those people. If that's what they want to do with their money, let them. I mean, I'm happy with what I got.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I'm not mocking them for doing it. It's just the point you can afford to do it. Other people can't. So why does that, they're humble bragging.
Yeah. Look what I got. Sorry you can't afford it, but look what I got. I will say, dude, Hogan has a couple of I know how you feel about Hogan, but He has a couple of the seats from the Pontiac Silverdome when they demolished it, how they sold them. He has like number 3, which is cool, and he has number 6, and they're on his website autographed, and he puts some inscriptions on there, like one of them, I think the number 3 one says like 93,173 people see me slam the giant or something like that. And he never writes stuff like that, but there's these elaborate inscriptions and
what are those, $5,000?
No, the number 3 is a little bit more expensive. It's like $1,200, but number 6, which has I think better inscriptions, is only $600, which isn't bad.
So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, Steve. Hogan's pretty damn carny, right?
Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how legit do you think those those chairs are really Pontiac chairs?
Oh,
well, that's what they told me, brother.
No, I would say 100%.
Okay.
Because I do know they sold a bunch of those off. A lot of stuff from that. And I know Hogan was one of the first people that went in there to pick out what they wanted. So yeah, they're legit. It is legit.
Nature Boy making his way down to the ring, going to try to recapture the world title now that he has Woman by his side. Woman recently turned heel on Nitro, as I mentioned earlier in this episode, is she helped Flair beat Hulk Hogan because for some odd reason, Woman was accompanying the Mega Powers to ringside for a few weeks there. Still don't understand that whole story was.
The rumor was she was going to come in and be Elizabeth to Macho Man.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they end up getting the real Elizabeth. So they didn't really need her anymore, I'm guessing. So they turn her into this. Well, why would you do, like, I don't understand, like, everybody knows who Woman is. It's not like this woman is just some new person in the business, you know? It doesn't make any sense.
Everybody knows who a lot of guys are when they jump and they change their name. How many guys jumped from one company to the other, changed their name, and it was very clear they were, such and such.
I get that, but you're trying to say you're Elizabeth? Like, I mean,
she's just saying her name is Elizabeth. She didn't say she's Miss Elizabeth.
Could
be more than one Elizabeth. Elizabeth, will you marry me?
I'm not buying that.
And there's Savage with the big gold. I never liked this belt. Never was a fan of this belt. Thought it looked shit.
Wow, you're probably like the only one.
I don't know about that. I would have to imagine somebody else didn't. I mean, it's just a big, giant, round, flat piece of gold.
Like the big gold is what everybody, like belt collectors, that's like the grail piece is having a big gold.
Give me the domed globe any day.
The 7 pounds of gold.
Yeah. 7. More than
10
that.
10 pounds? My bad. 10. Isn't that what they call it? The 10 pounds of gold?
It's more than 7.
So,
look at him shilling Slim Jims. Shilling Slim Jims on the way to the ring. I bet they liked it. Probably makes a couple extra grand every time he shills Slim Jim during a pay-per-view.
Snap. Hey, you know what, dude? They probably raised his contract for doing that. But now, I'm with you, though. I'm not a huge fan. It's very boring, very plain. I like it just because of the historical significance of it in that aspect. But as far as look, I'm not. I prefer the Ron Simmons, Lex Luger, Vader belt more than that one.
Now Flair pulling a Lex Luger. Not wanting to get in the cage, but he's going to have to if he wants that world title. And we have dueling women on the outside. Flair with Woman and Savage with Elizabeth, at least for now.
Must be hot in here. Flair's already sweating.
Well, they're in St. Pete. I'm not sure the air's working. I don't know. Who knows what the hell Flair was doing before he came out here?
Probably running around naked, doing something stupid.
Heel Ric Flair is Ric Flair at his best. When he came back, it made sense to make him a babyface. I mean, you didn't have to, but just having him back in the company, it made sense at the time. They really needed another face, I think, at that point in 93. But they made the right call, and luckily Hogan comes in. Well, I hate to say luckily Hogan comes in because that's not what I mean. But Flair goes back heel, and that's where he belongs.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, definitely sums up with Pee Wee Anderson because he's not even out here for this match.
Michael Buffer. Flair is all over the show with the microphone. I'll say that much. Talking a lot of shit tonight. Woman making sure she gets into every camera shot she possibly can.
He's talking about Liz on this one. Giving her one more chance to kiss a real man.
Go back to 92. I always wondered how that was supposed to play out before they shut that down, because Savage and Liz were going through real life issues. And so they shut down the feud, the storyline with the audio tapes after WrestleMania.
Yeah. I was always curious where that was heading to.
You had to think it was going to be Liz turning heel. Would have been my guess.
They still had tread on the tires for that feud. That would have been awesome.
Yeah, and clearly that was going to be played out at SummerSlam. And then with shutting it down like that, we just wind up with the Warrior Savage match with that weird story with Ric Flair.
Maybe one day on the grenade we can get the 92 WWF. I know it's not your favorite, but I enjoy it because it's like the transition period. Vince had to think outside the box a little bit. I know the business was down, but it's definitely different. But there's still things there that you can enjoy for sure.
Yeah, I think any year you can find something. Well, maybe not parts of 95 or even parts of the latter half of 94. I'm sure there's just really bad periods, but
yeah,
92,
definitely.
You have enough workers there that you're going to have good stuff. Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, obviously Savage is there.
Flair.
Yeah, Flair. Certainly.
You get the return. I'm not going to talk. I won't lump him into good workers, but you got the returning Warrior for
Warrior
some
came
star
back,
power.
which is great for me. I was a Warrior fan. Now, his return was never as good as his initial run. But
no, absolutely not. But, I mean, you got Davey Boy.
Yeah, it was. They had quite a few, solid hands to have a few good matches. There was just so much shit on the mid card, undercard. At that point, a lot of the guys, they just wanted to keep people give Vince shit, because he cuts ties with people when they're not making him money anymore. And it felt like at that point he was just trying to hold on to whatever he had left of the big run. So we had guys there that maybe didn't necessarily need to be there anymore. And those were the guys that were prominently featured on like Primetime and stuff.
Like who? Give me a name.
El Matador, Repo Man.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I got you. Would you throw Martel in that?
I would throw Martel in that, not based on his work, but based on he was just a character. He wasn't, other than the Tatanka shit. He was just really just filling a spot.
That makes sense.
And
they're
obviously
just there.
And obviously Tatanka being undefeated throughout the entire feud means Martel never even got a win. Tatanka also has that Native American specialty where he can clear his eyes because the whole feud starts with Martel sprays him in the eyes with the arrogance. And that took Jake out for months, fucked his eyes up. They turned red, they turned white, pupils disappeared, all kinds of crazy shit. Sprays Tatanka, back the next week looking for revenge and his Indian feathers.
Oh, man. Well, we're finally going here.
Savage taking a bump. Never letting anybody down. Savage just always gung-ho, always a pro. And like I said, I did get to see these two work the cage match. I guess that would have probably been post WrestleMania 8 because they had a match. Oh, Flair decks the ref, which makes sense. It's a cage match. Technically, there shouldn't be a disqualification. So 2-3 minutes into the match and Flair knocks the referee out. And woman loves it.
For good measure.
So maybe woman thinking twice about not standing behind a man as she's standing behind Ric Flair, but Savage going for a backslide early, but the ref is out of it. It's almost like Ric Flair knew that Randy Savage was going to go for a pinfall.
He's already up.
How long has Savage's arm been injured? Because he's still got it taped up here, and obviously he's working way, way, way better than he was a few months ago. Yeah, it feels like at least October.
So you know what, dude? His elbow is probably healed by this point, and that's why they're selling it as an injury. Because remember, when it was actually injured, he was 115% or 10% according to Hogan.
I like it.
So now that he's not injured, they can sell the elbow that he's hurt. Who knows? It's a little bit ass backwards, but that camera sure does like to get a shot of Liz's cleavage.
Well, I like that camera, man.
Because that's like the fourth time he's kind of moved his camera down just to be sure it's in the picture.
Well, he can't help what Liz is wearing. He's being told to get a shot of Liz.
I'm not blaming him at all. Just saying, it seems like what she's wearing is out, like what you want to see is out of the picture, so he's moving the camera to ensure you see it.
Sure. Yeah, but when I saw these guys, they worked a one-on-one match, I think, at the show before the cage match. They did the return match in the cage. And I know I've told you this before. I don't know if I've told this on the show, one of our watch-alongs, but they did a spot where Flair tries to climb out all four corners of the cage, and just so everybody in the arena gets a shot of Savage pulling Flair's trunks down and hanging upside down with his bare ass to the crowd. Got a huge pop. But they did it 3 times all around the cage. So 12 times Ric Flair shows his ass. It was just like they were killing time. And by the time they made round 2 and 3, it was like, all right, guys, let's get back to the wrestling. But
hey, man, whatever's getting the pop, right?
But Flair was having fun that night anyway, getting away with what he can't get away with on TV.
Yeah. And if you catch him in his hotel, you're probably going to get another shot of his ass and other things you don't want to see.
Catch him anywhere else, on the airplane, wherever.
According to Missy I, he just had like an infatuation with this stuff.
Yeah. Tony Schiavone tells stories where like Flair's just walking around, knocks on his hotel room door, and he's just standing there, It's like, hey, let's party or whatever. He's like, what the fuck? I think Tony calls it... refers to it as the size of a baby's arm holding an apple. That's how Tony refers to Ric Flair.
Oh my God.
The baby's arm. That's what Tony calls it. The baby's arm.
Oh Lord. Missy said it's nothing special. It's just Ric Flair's stuff. That's kind
of odd because when they did the shoot with her, when Kayfabe Commentaries did the shoot with her and they gave her the game to play where she got to match sizes with the names or whatever, she gave Ric Flair's a pretty good standing, I thought.
Well, I think what she said is basically she's seen it so many times. Like,
right.
He just whips it out all the time, it sounds like. And
right. Could you imagine it now?
Ric Flair would be in jail for a long time if he lived his career now.
Yeah, you're right. He wouldn't have made it past rookie.
He would not have made it past a one-time NWA champion.
Flair going up top.
What else she said about Flair? Ugh.
I haven't read Missy's book since the year it came out, and she was one of the first ones to put a book out, so it's been a long time.
It's so weird reading those old books. They're talking about how sorry to all my brothers and sisters in the business. I'm not trying to expose anything, but other people have already done it, so I'm just kind of following suit.
Right.
A lot of them start that way, and just goes to show they're kind of afraid to do it just because.
Savage.
That one.
We'll get back to the book. I just wanted to, anybody not watching along, I was just going to mention Savage has put Ric Flair in his own figure 4 here, and Flair's selling it huge. But no,
Flair has the figure 4 on.
No, it's Savage. I watched him put it on. See, Flair's down for the count. 1, 2. Oh, Flair kicks out right before the 3.
They're both down.
Well, the ref can only look at one of them. So he's counting Flair.
I don't know, just the way they're working on the ground looks like it's kind of hard to tell if you can't see that left leg there of Savage being on top.
Flair doesn't find himself in the figure four too often and finally gets to the ropes. Why is the referee trying to kick it free? I guess in a cage match, does he have to release?
There's no rules, but why can't he hold on to the rope?
That's what I was just about to say. Even if there's no rope break, why can't Flair hold the rope then? Either way, it doesn't make any sense. And well, I see why now. Look who our referee is, Mr. Mullet Mustache Man here. How many times has he refereed a main event, much less a cage match?
Oh, that's a nice kick there.
A little bit live right there, upside the head. Said oops upside the head. Aha.
Well, to be honest, man, it's the WCW. This cage match may have one set of rules, and then the next one's not going to have the same. So, who knows with them?
Well, most of the time, I get what you mean, like disqualification-wise and things like that, but the WWF would always escape the cage, and I did like the NWA, the WCW. I always loved the fact that you had to pin or something. I felt like ripped off when they did the old escape the cage routine, because nobody really got pinned. Savage off the top of the cage trying the double axe and doesn't get it.
What sucks about the WWF style is it feels like you're running from your opponent.
It does, and I think that changed over time because really, go back and watch the Bruno cage matches. The whole point of a cage match back in the old days in the WWF was you were settling a score. You couldn't leave the ring until the other guy just couldn't move. It was basically a Texas death match in other territories with a cage around it. The guy just couldn't answer anymore, and you got out. And then slowly they started booking these fluke finishes and things like that. And by the 80s, certainly the mid or late 80s, the cage match became more of a cartoonized version of what the WWF cage match used to be back in the Bruno days. Like, whenever I watch a Bruno cage match, which were all usually the payoff to the 3-month feud, I never felt ripped off. Any of the ones I've seen, I'm like, wow, that was awesome. Even that Tito Valentine cage match, that I didn't feel ripped off. That felt like boom. He slammed the door on Valentine's head, kicked the door on his head, and walked out. It felt like a war. But later on, man, it's like we never really got that blow off.
It felt like you can gimmick it too much. They kind of got away with what made the cage match great. I mean, I like some of the like the Orndorff and Hogan Saturday Night Main Event. That was really creative because it was the first time they did that.
I agree. I thought that was very creative too. First time I ever saw that. Did they air that on one of the old Coliseum tapes, like Saturday's Main Event tape or something like that? Or
I can't remember. So it's either on that or it's definitely on inside the steel cage.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I remember watching it on a Coliseum, and I can't remember if I saw that one live or not. But I remember when I saw it on Coliseum somewhere in the late 80s there, I was just like, wow, this is so cool. Oh, my God, a photo finish. Really good stuff. And
definitely
obviously with it being taped, they could gimmick it as needed to make it look like they landed at the same time.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was fine with that. Like, it told a great story, and you can push it further, but it just became too much of it's a gimmick, and now it's useless.
And now it's Flair who has the figure four on Savage and using the ropes, but there's no DQ, so let's see what the referee does about this. He kicked Flair's hands before, Flair cheating, but letting go of the ropes when the referee looks. So even though there's no disqualification, Flair's still being the ultimate heel here. Getting that heel heat. If there's any heat at all based on this crowd.
Thankfully, there's a cage around and we can't really see him, but they don't look to be too interested. And now he's making Flair break the hold when...
I'm not even understanding why. Well, look at him. He's got Flair by the hair. It looked like he tried to rip his hair out of his scalp. Chop him.
What's going on here?
Chop him.
Just beat his ass.
Isn't that the ref that Flair punched out at the beginning of the match? They didn't change refs, right?
No, they didn't.
So why is this guy trying? He knows Flair. Why doesn't Flair deck him again?
My problem is Flair got in the ropes when Savage had it on, and he kicked his arms off to keep him to break it.
Yeah.
He didn't have to break it. Then Savage gets in the ropes, and you're pulling Flair's hair off.
And we go for the old inside cradle out of the figure four. I know, and this referee seems to be more interested in fixing his shirt, tucking his shirt back in, than he does in calling the match at this point.
This referee feels like getting himself over instead of just being a ref.
To his defense, the only thing I can say is the guy's never been put in a position like this. I don't think he knew what the hell. I don't think he was ready for this, really.
Yeah,
it makes you wonder how this particular guy got the job. Who did he know? It wasn't like he had a background. Nick Patrick had a background. Randy Anderson had a background. They came from territories and things. They'd already been, working for years before they got here. Guys like Jack Doan in the WWF, they were on the ring crew when they were young. So they slowly got more and more, stuff to do, and they eventually became referees and things like that. But this guy, I wonder what his story is.
Who knows? Can we get Mark Curtis out here?
Yeah, I'm wondering how long before we see Mark Curtis, because Smoky Mountain's folded. So I'm not sure how long it takes Mark Curtis to pop up. Old Brian Hildebrand.
Hildebrand.
Yes.
That's right.
Another one of my favorite. I loved him so much in Smoky Mountain. He refereed every fucking match there was, like their only referee.
Yeah. I noticed that when I first started watching Smoky Mountain. I'm like, man, they got no other ref, I guess. I mean, he was so damn good every single match. It didn't even matter if he had another ref or not.
Yeah, I think I would have got pissed if I'd seen another referee in any of the big matches anyway.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So Flair is busted.
What a shock. Flair now bleeding. When did we start getting blood in WCW again? I mean, I'm not counting the Hogan gig with the stiletto a few weeks ago on Nitro. I'm sure Hogan's just going to do whatever he wants. Starcade? Oh, yeah. Flair with the nasty.
The gusher after he's pissed at Brett. Got all that color. Look,
there's the old 1992 spot. Well, to be fair, Flair was hanging upside down over the blue cage, but it was a little more sturdy than this shit here. But yeah, there's the spot. The camera had to cut.
God. Flair probably wishes he could work that.
Flair does the Flair flop, balls first on the top rope there. And Savage for the cover. Ric Flair, that's not the first time in this match that he's kicked out questionably late. I mean, like within an inch of the 3 count. Savage swinging at the ref now. I don't blame him.
I don't either.
I wonder what these two said to this ref when this match was over. Never again. I'll
kick his ass myself.
I'll do the thing. I don't know who you think you are.
Stick his ass in the broom closet.
Yeah. I'm going to take Elizabeth out and put you in there. Lock it for good. Look at him. That damn ref's back messing with his shirt again. Look, messing with the button on his shirt. He's more worried about his fucking shitty WCW referee shirt than he is calling this match.
Well, Savage was pulling on him while he was in the figure 4, and I think that's what messed up his shirt. But yeah, he's more concerned with that shit.
Oh, here's the spot. Now, see, now Flair's going to maybe hang over the cage here. But yeah, obviously, like, remember what we did around the loop way back in 92? Yeah, let's do that again. Oh my gosh. I don't remember this at all.
I don't either.
I can't believe the camera didn't cut away immediately. They seem to be trying to avoid it, but not in that instance.
No.
And they can't really film, I guess, either side of Flair because they're really not wanting to show too much of the bleeding. But on the other side, it's his ass. So which way do you go?
I'm going with blood.
Violence or nudity, Steve? I mean, like, which way do you go? Flair's giving it all right here, with his ass hanging out on one end and blood on his. I'll tell you this much: he's not bleeding anywhere near what he did at Starrcade.
Oh no, that was
because
that was bad.
Had he been bleeding for this long like that tonight, he'd be bled out by now.
Yeah, he'd be dead.
Time to gig again. Wow. Savage throws Flair into the cage and Flair starts climbing it. I don't even get it.
He wants to show his ass again. He's doing the 92 spot.
I don't know how deep we are into this match. It feels like it's been going
they're
quite
panning way out.
You know, they did this on a Nitro, too. Was it during a Regal and Benoit match? Where one of them get busted
The
up?
ref was supposed to lock the cage, and he couldn't figure out how to lock it because they didn't give him the lock, and Flair hit that cage, and
the door busted open.
The door busted open. Oh, only in WCW. Man, they're panned way out on this.
Nobody can get in? Yeah, they're staying panned out. Over what?
They're like,
a blade job?
All the way out on the hard cam.
This is ridiculous for a pay-per-view. Absolutely ridiculous. This is not TNT. This is not Turner. This is not network television or cable television. This is a fucking pay-per-view.
This at all.
I'm dropping $25 or whatever the hell it was by this point. Woman pulling that shoe off, and she's looking to, oh no, what does she have? She has powder, cocaine probably. Knowing everybody involved in this match, and she misses. She throws it at nothing. Was she supposed to hit? I don't know what the hell that was.
This is a cluster.
Wait a minute. What's Elizabeth doing? She just opens the cage and hands Flair her shoe. Dear God, what have you done, Miss Elizabeth? And another ass shot with
shot.
Yeah, there's a roll up. That's how you beat him at WrestleMania 8 right there. Nope. Flair kicks out and boom! Elizabeth's shoe to the face of Savage. What's with these shoes, man? 2, 3. Ric Flair regains the title. And Elizabeth.
Ted wants to know, too, what's up with the shoes.
And there's your next piece of shock and awe. As Miss Elizabeth, for absolutely no reason. Well, I guess she has plenty of reason to turn heel after the way she was treated by Randy Savage. If only she knew how to cut a real promo, and she could have really channeled some of that and cut a promo. All those years, Randy, of locking me up in those closets.
Could you imagine?
How could she even be the heel at that point? This is revenge for all that time.
Oh my God, that'd be like a pipe bomb before it was cool. Oh my goodness. The money that could have been made. I will say they do make some killer money here.
And Hogan's out. And he's of course, he's got his own match. He's already going on after a world title change match. Miss Elizabeth just turned heel. This is huge. Yet somehow Hulk Hogan's match follows. But that's not enough, Steve. He's got to get involved in this as well.
Of course. It's Hulk Hogan, man. He's booking this shit.
Arn Anderson taking a bump.
I'm tired of this, like, wide angle. Like, if you're going to do this, then you don't need to do whatever it is that you're hiding. Like, if you're going to pan this far out where you can't see shit going on, then don't allow blood and don't allow the dude to go out there and show his ass for half the match.
Well, what's the sense here? You're showing a wide shot of the ring, but Flair's in the aisle and you do a close-up of Flair walking down the aisle. You know he's in the aisle. That's the reason you're showing it. So I don't understand any of this. This is horse shit.
The only thing I can think of is maybe there's something wrong with the camera. I don't know.
There's a camera right here.
Well, I know that. That's what I'm saying. Like, I have no idea. I couldn't tell you, man.
Well, I have no idea. Or not, I have no doubt that Flair did that on his own. He was notorious for doing that. He did it in the WWF and got in trouble. I'm sure he didn't clear that with anybody. No, the blade job. I'm sure he didn't clear that with anybody before he did it, but just absolutely ridiculous to pan out on a pay-per-view. And the story, I guess, there was, we thought Woman was going to interfere. Savage foils that attempt, so we think Savage has the upper hand, but then it's Liz who turns heel. Hands Ric Flair her high heel, and he blasts Savage with it, presumably in the eye. I have no idea.
Well, they're about to show it. Oh, no, they didn't. They didn't even show the eye shot.
And then they use a camera angle of Flair bleeding right into the camera in the instant replay, even though we got the faraway shot during the match. And
just
Savage.
keep it consistent. But I guess it's a little harder to do when it's live action. You can't just... I don't know. I really don't know. Like, it's stupid. Just embrace what you're doing and be done with it.
I'll tell you what, this entire few weeks where we got all these high heel spots, this drove me nuts. Absolutely ridiculous. Your two world beater main event baby faces are doing jobs to high heels. I mean, you want to run an angle, you want to stab somebody, and I believe that. Okay, that's pretty nasty, but it seems to be knocking them out.
Hogan's still selling that shit, and it's been like 3 weeks.
Well, I mean, if he had his eyes stabbed out, I mean, he should be selling it.
I bet you this is fun.
You think this is fun? Well, we'll take a listen.
That Elizabeth was going to become involved pro Ric Flair.
There's more to the story, and hopefully if we don't find out tonight, we will find out more live on WCW Monday Nitro this coming Monday, tomorrow night live from Tampa, and then, of course, on WCW Saturday night. Some questions, hopefully some answers about what transpired here.
I have never seen the amount of gamesmanship, if you will, back and forth, and what has happened here now with the Nature Boy Ric Flair becoming World Heavyweight Champion again for the 13th time right here at SuperBrawl.
All right.
See a Jezebel, if you will, baby. She's the crown jewel, baby. From WrestleMania 6 to this. What have you done with yourself, Miss Elizabeth, if you will?
Oh, he's pissed.
Oh, he's taping his hands up. He's pulling some Undertaker shit here. Oh, it's time to get really serious now, dude. Between the two mega powers, there's only two good eyes left, brother. An eye for an eye, Mean Gene. I can just hear that coming.
Oh, you know it's coming.
If that's not a Hogan soundbite, I don't know what is. What you gonna do? So he comes out to, I'm not even sure what the hell he went out there and did. Swung a chair around. Then he gets to come back, cut a promo, and go back out and wrestle a match. So he's making sure he gets his promo in.
It's a hell of a bandage job there on his eye. I wouldn't want to run around with that damn thing on my face like that.
Rocking a patch. So the Savage match went about 19 minutes. I can only hope that the Hogan match doesn't go anywhere near that.
Oh, man.
You've got a fairly green giant, jolly green giant. You've got a fairly green giant out there who is probably doing exactly whatever Hogan tells him to do, basically. So no matter what he's capable of doing, he's only going to do what Hogan will allow him to do. You're not going to upstage me, brother.
No drop kicks off the top of the cage.
Make sure when you choke slam me, you hold me up there and drop me down really gently, dude, so it looks really fake and shitty, brother.
You know that's a conversation to be had.
I have no doubt that was stated. 2 hours, 22 minutes into the show, 20 seconds, 21, 22. Mean Gene. One last plea to call the hotline. Ha!
Put that cigarette out.
Put that cigarette out. Call the hotline. Find out who was smoking that cigarette and what type of cigarette it was. Old Mean Gene, man. Call the hotline. Mean Gene needs a new liver.
Good old Mean Gene. Like you said, here's your guy.
This is not my guy. Did they even show him during the Savage match? I mean, I saw him come around and give Flair the microphone, but I don't remember seeing him doing the intros during that match. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention.
Probably not paying attention.
I think that was a Hogan audible too. No, you don't show Michael Buffer to my match, dude. Big time, brother. Yeah, I can't do Michael Buffer, man. I know he's like a legend, and I just never got him here in wrestling. Just never worked for me in wrestling.
I enjoy him in boxing, but wrestling, yeah, I'm with you, man. Just out of place. Like he sounds stupid. Coming down the aisle wearing black. Wearing black. He's got a black heart and a black singlet to match. Just hokey, stupid shit. It works in boxing, but
I doubt he even took this seriously, even though he's making ridiculous money here for these WCW shows to just do the main events. When he first came in, I think he did, it was either all the title matches on the first show he did or every match on the first show he did. I can't remember which it was, but he did a lot.
Clash with
I think
Steamboat?
I'm pretty sure it was a Clash. I just can't remember.
It was a Clash with Steamboat and Austin for the U.S. title, and he did that one. It was like the opener. I think that's the only time I've ever seen him work the opener. Yeah,
I just remember his debut with WCW, which I'm pretty sure was a Clash. He did almost every match on the show, and it took forever. And then they whittled it down to just the main event matches. They probably paid him insane money. And that was also around the same time Gary Capetta took off, realizing what Buffer was getting, he wasn't getting, and things like that.
I'd much rather have Michael Capetta for...
Yeah, and shout out to Gary Capetta on Twitter, man. GMC, baby. He's the man. Certainly my voice of WCW ring announcing anyway here in the 90s, and really from the time he got there.
Yeah, I agree.
Look at Hogan trying to climb the cage. They had to eventually cut holes into these cages. Look at him. He almost fell. Hogan almost fell climbing over the top of the cage. I missed the top rope, dude. I'm not used to being up here, brother. I didn't know what it looked like from up here.
Oh, come on, man. He always climbed the cage.
Well, the story goes, the reason they started using the big blue bar cage was because he could climb it easier, more footing. It was all done for Hogan. Of course, I think it goes a little deeper than that. If you go back and you ever look at footage from the old Los Angeles territory, which also did the escape the cage gimmick, I think it was the only other territory that I can think of off the top of my head anyway, the escape the cage gimmick. They had that type of cage. Where was that match, that Hogan and Bunny match when the Big Blues cage made its debut? Los Angeles. Who put it together? A bunch of old Los Angeles workers. If you're looking around ringside, you see a bunch of guys. I mean, if you know that territory, that's who's put it, because why do they know how to put it together? Because they wrestled in the territory. So I'm thinking, I've never really had it confirmed or never really dug into it, but my theory always was that's where they got the cage from. Los Angeles wasn't using it anymore. Maybe they got it from LaBelle or whoever there, but they kept the cage. Hey, it worked. It worked for Hogan and it worked, and they just kept the cage.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like I said, I don't know how any of them. You got some big ass feet and boots and trying to get into a small fence hole. I mean, that's...
Well, I got to give Hogan credit for being able to climb up that cage. I mean, he was, not very athletic in that sense, but certainly by this point.
Definitely not, so...
Look at Giant leaving his feet. Hogan punch. It looks kind of gross. A little bit gross there. Giant's like humping in the air every time Hogan punches him. Oh! Hogan's stepping on his throat. Look at this. This is ridiculous. Hulk Hogan standing on the Giant's throat on the top rope.
Oh, Lord.
What you gonna do, brother?
What's sad is I think this match ends in a cluster too. So your two big matches end when controversy and shit.
Well, I can't say I'm surprised since this is really all being built up, which the Giant's not part of the big Alliance to end Hulkamania match. I think that's, like I said, I think he works Loch Ness on that show. So at least they were smart enough, and Hogan was smart enough to keep the Giant out of that match, still saw money in him. But I can beat all these other dudes, dude.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. It's so crazy to think about, like, this dude just put 8 guys or whatever it is, 10 guys in a cage and eliminates all of them. And it's so bad he has to take time off to reboot the heel division. It's just like, how ridiculous.
No, I mean, he buried the entire heel roster. I mean, besides the Giant, really. I mean, Ric Flair's Ric Flair. He's going to come back next week and be Ric Flair. But, I mean, in general, though, it's he basically proved he can beat all of these guys, is what I mean. And so he can't feud with any of these guys unless there's a proper storyline anyway. And I was wondering how long before it was going to take the eye patch to come off. Looks like it's already sweated its way hanging off of Hogan there, if I saw correctly. Hogan going to make the comeback.
He still has like the stitches thing on over the eye, but
I
don't see the patch either.
They're not doing a great job of selling that Testis syringe spot there. Thank God they abandoned it because it looked like shit. Hogan and Warrior, it was not. I don't know what
Hogan's
the hell that
not
was.
in the mood to do any of this, to be honest with you.
No, Hogan's not in the mood to do anything, collect a paycheck. And the Giant goes into the bear hug.
This is horrible.
Yeah.
So boring.
Well, that's what you get when Hogan's calling all of the shots, and I'm sure he called most of them in the WWF too, to a degree in the matches, but he gave in the W. We've seen some decent Hogan matches in the WWF because he gave.
Patch is still there.
As long as, he basically let the heel dominate, and then he would do his Hulk up and the big finish. That's all people came to see, the Hulk up and the posing. And here in WCW, at least by this point in WCW, he's so paranoid and he's so unover that he's scared to sell because he's afraid, I think, in his mind, that it's going to make him look or become even less over, when in fact, all this no selling is just making people revolt against him even more.
Pretty much, yeah. And they're not accustomed to this cartoon crap in the WCW, no matter. Oh, he's pulling the eye patch out now. No matter how far gone it is from the NWA, they still have a sense of what they like in the WCW, and they always did until they closed. And so, what Hogan was giving them is not what they wanted. And obviously, this crowd's sitting on their ass. They're trying to get up, but...
Well, to be fair, he did pop some numbers when he first came in, which makes sense. Hogan and returning to wrestling and in another company. And then obviously the NWO stuff took off as well. Not saying Hogan really worked worth a shit.
No, but at least it was fresh and new. Like he was working the other side, and that's what helped with that. It was something.
Yeah, I know
different.
that's what got my dad into it because he had, watched the original Hulk Hogan run, the late 80s run, and the Mega Powers and the Hogan and Savage feud over Miss Elizabeth and things like that. So when he heard Hogan had turned heel, he wasn't like a super wrestling fan, but it was just something funny. Like, it's just odd. You never, Hulk Hogan's a bad guy. I got to see this. And he would get some of the early pay-per-views when Hogan had turned NWO, and he would just sit there and laugh like, because he'd watch Hogan do all these, cheat tactics and things. And no matter how bad the match was, my dad would sit there and get a laugh out of it because Hogan was raking backs and just pretending to be bad. It just really exposed wrestling to him. Even not saying he didn't. He grew up on another era. He already knew wrestling was fake, but it was It was like, how do you go from being that good to that bad? You really have to suspend your disbelief. It goes back to that. As long as the storytelling's there, as wrestling fans, we let it go. But I get what he's saying at the same time. How do you go from being that good to evil? He's super villain. When you're a casual fan or a non-fan and you're looking from the outside in, it is a little silly.
Yeah, that's like you said, that's where the storytelling comes in. You got to be able to tell the people why you're acting the way you're acting. And I thought he did a great job with it, to be honest. I thought it was really good. And one of the better promos that he cut in WCW altogether. So it felt more real. It felt more like WWF, and it felt like he was really speaking from the heart because he did give. If this is what he gave you, then I guess you could call it the best he had. But nobody accepted him from the time he walked in the door up until that point. Nobody accepted him or did anything. They didn't like him. They booed him, and he heard it and things like that. And so it felt very real and authentic. And I think that's what really pushed it over the edge.
Yeah, they always say that he was having cold feet. He really, when Bischoff first brought it up to him, that no way did he think he should turn heel. Even up to the pay-per-view, he was still having doubts. He was expressing his doubts the day of the pay-per-view. He had cold feet. the backup was going to be Sting if they had to change it up. And then Hogan eventually agreed to it. Hogan's version is he's the one that insisted it. He came up with the idea, brother. He told Eric he should turn heel. But everyone else tells the opposite story, so I'm going to go with everyone else here.
Yeah. I think he's changed his tune the last time I've heard him talk about it. I think he has. I could be wrong. I may be thinking things. I thought I seen him mention how he wasn't sure if he really wanted to do it, but I could be way off. Who knows with Hogan?
I'm sure his stories change all the time anyway. He doesn't even know what he tells people week to week.
Yeah, that's the problem with lying. You forget what you say one day compared to what you said the other day. So it is what it is. But I mean, at the end of the day, I could see why I would definitely believe Bischoff in that sense, because it's just like John Cena, where, you know, Cena does a lot for kids and things like that. And Hogan did. I don't know if he was here or what, but if he doing movies for kids, like I know he did a Three Ninjas movie and Santa with Muscles and things like that. So he is doing movies targeted towards that kid audience. And if you're running around as a bad guy, are your parents really gonna throw down the money to watch you in a movie or something like that? So I get it. I get where he's coming from.
I think he was looking around at those movies that he was making, though, and realizing that his movie career wasn't really going to take off at this point anyway. So what did he really have to lose?
Exactly. And I know he still got the roles even after it, but yeah, I could see it. I mean, I could definitely see why you'd be apprehensive. And
oh, here we go. The bear hug of doom by the Giant. I'm waiting for the Yeti to run in so we can start another
dry humping.
Yeah, dry hump fest.
He fixed his hair. He moved his hair back.
It's gonna kiss him. He had to move his hair out of the way, Steve.
That's what it looked like he was about to do.
Tilt your nose, brother. Tilt your nose, dude.
You know, like, too, it's funny. Like,
have you noticed the camera angle again? It's closer than the prior match, but it looks like Hogan might have a little bit of blood on his head there. Is that am I seeing things?
It looks like there's a little color there right in his forehead.
So the camera's closer, but we're still getting that hard camera angle again. And behind Hogan's back shots.
So stupid.
Meanwhile, the next pay-per-view is called Uncensored.
It's unsanctioned.
Imagine, you know, how you feel going into that after you can't even see the blood here.
Yeah, I'd be salty, man. Like that's what you expect when you go to a show uncensored. Like everything goes, nothing sanctioned. You figure blood and, you know, guts and.
I think that's the pay-per-view where Finlay like explodes Regal's nose all over the world.
That's brutal. The thud on that one is disgusting, man. His
nose doesn't just break or bleed; it just explodes everywhere. The blood immediately upon impact.
It's hard to watch. That is hard to watch. He hits that post, and all of a sudden, an explosion. It sounds like an explosion.
Hogan hitting the ropes, and oh, what the hell was this? Has been terrible. This is embarrassing. How many times lately have I called a Hulk Hogan match embarrassing? That Clash match was just pitiful, and some of the recent Nitro matches as well.
Yeah, I mean. It just looks so like and I don't know if it's Hogan per se, but I just feel like the Giant is so damn scared.
Look at that choke slam.
Yeah, no impact, no nothing.
Boy, did I call that one back in the promo. Yeah.
I just feel like the Giant's not ready for this. He looks like $1 million.
Now, what's the deal here? Is this an escape the cage? Is this like the old Hulk Hogan WWF rule? Yes, it is.
So, because
okay.
Jet's out there.
I apologize, everyone. I didn't do my homework here, and I didn't realize that until Hulk starts hulking up, and I'm looking for the ref because I'm waiting for the big boot and whatever, and shenanigans are going to happen here at the end. And there's no referee, so yeah, it looks like because Giant called for the cage door, so they should have called this WWF rules because Hogan wanted this.
Oh, yeah. Well, this should be the end of the feud, and if he's... Well, it's not, but the Giant's not in the match next time. So who knows, dude? This is my point, too. That other referee, no wonder now they're panning out because the Giant has color. I don't remember this at all.
Hogan ramming the Giant. I told you, man. Other than me remembering Elizabeth turning heel, I've totally blocked these. Like I would, other than the fact that I know that I watched every pay-per-view during this era, I would state that I never saw this before because I know I haven't watched this match, especially since it aired. So completely blocked out of my mind.
I remember the match. I just don't remember them panning out like this. That's what I don't remember. So
there's the leg drop. Should be noted Kevin Sullivan is at ringside. So, and the leg drop, and it's time to escape. Oh, he's going to drop a second one. Now, if the Giant no sells this, that would be tremendous. 3 leg drops by Hulk Hogan. Now let's keep Giant over by having him get up. Hogan's pointing towards the corner. He's going to climb out of the cage. Oh, he did sit up like the Undertaker. Even better. Awesome.
Ah, I'm not going to sell you stupid leg drop. Ah!
We're going to get a timber fall, Paul Bunyan fall here. They're fighting on the top rope, trading chops. Imagine if the Giant really chopped you.
I will say, dude, it's cool to see. It's always
cool.
That's awesome, dude. I don't care
what
you say. That's awesome.
What a bump by the Giant. Great sell, but look at Hogan. He can't get over the top of the cage.
Dude is struggling. Can I get Big Blue back, please?
I can't believe he never talked them into... Oh, Sullivan right away with a chair. Thank God. It's not often I'm happy to see Kevin Sullivan here in the mid-90s, but of course he's going to no-sell the chair shot now. What you going to do, brother? Well, he catches poor Kevin in his bathrobe, throws him into the ring. Great bump by Giant off the top of the cage. If only it had been something besides a Hulk Hogan chop that sent the Giant plummeting to his death off the beanstalk
he's
there.
On his knees, like, please don't hit me with the chair. Are you kidding me?
Wait a minute.
No, I think he's telling there's 2 against 1. I think that's what we're seeing here.
It looks like he was holding him off, and then he realized it was 2-on-1. But here we go.
Oh, here comes Haku. We got Ming in there, and he takes a chair shot right away and sells it. Can't sell that, Haku. Terrible. Barbarian, Hugh Morrus.
Here we go.
Shark. We haven't seen Shark in months. I thought he was gone. Shark Attack. And the gang.
Hogan is by himself, killing everybody in the Dungeon of Doom with a chair. And the gang goes running into the cage.
There's got to be 10 guys in this ring right now. Or damn near 10 guys anyway.
Yeah, there's 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, there's 8. 9 if you count Hogan. And he's destroying all of them with chair shots and cage shots.
The Giant runs away while Hogan disposes of guys like the Earthquake and the one-man gang. And here comes Loch Ness.
Barbarian, dude. Did you see the Barbarian
I didn't see
bump?
No, I didn't.
Dude, he lowered his head and went head first right into the cage like it's nothing.
I'm sure it was for the Barbarian. And let's get some of these other big guys out of the ring as Loch Ness trying to get in the cage. He wants it. And that was the next in line, the next big monster for Hogan. And Hogan saw this guy work, and he's like, no way, brother. Send this guy back to the UK, dude.
I can't buddy slam him.
I'm not trusting that guy not to break my neck.
Yeah.
That would not have been a pretty match.
No. Definitely not. I can't believe they're panning out because of that shit. Like, it looks like watered down ketchup.
I wonder if this is this the pay-per-view version? Could it be the Turner home video version that they're doing this on? It almost makes me want to go find my original live version and see if they panned like that. But I can't say that they didn't because I said
the Turner version.
Okay.
I don't think so anyway. There's too much stuff on here for it to be.
Hell, were they even releasing pay-per-views anymore by 96?
Oh yeah. I've rented this one quite a bit. Well, I take that back. I did not rent it quite a bit. I rented it.
Well, for all intents and purposes, the show isn't over, but the show is over. Hogan tells the Dungeon of Doom to kiss his ass as he poses for the fans, and the Dungeon of Doom lead Loch Ness back to the waters of which he came for the night anyway. And then another week or two later, all of a sudden, Nitro kicks off with the giant Loch Ness fighting their way down the aisle for no explained reason.
Welcome to 1996 WCW, everybody. If you haven't been here before, this is the shit you're dealt with.
And Hogan posing for the fans who are probably barely making a noise. And that concludes
Another high
SuperBrawl.
talent out there.
And we even get the closing credits. We don't get that every time, but we get it on this one. Man, that wraps up another one as we move into the second half of February here in 96. Uncensored's our next one, and that's going to be a doozy. Now, I do remember the main event of that show, and I have not seen that since somewhere in the 1990s, so that's going to be new to me all over again. To a degree, I remember portions of that match, though. How can you not remember that match?
Yeah, everybody knows that match. If you're a wrestling fan, you know it. I would say I'm ready to talk about it and get to it, but man, I don't know.
I'm looking forward to it, to be honest with you. After this garbage, that's going to be so much fun just to make fun of. The nonsense, the no-selling, I can only imagine that's coming.
Yeah, it's going to be, it's pretty rough, but we'll get through it. We're troopers in that sense, so we made it through another one, man.
Yeah, it's a bit of a long one. Might be our longest watch along on the Patreon account yet. The Rumble went about 3.5 hours because we did the free-for-all, but that was on the Wrestling Grenade, so this might be our longest Patreon show yet, if I remember correctly anyway. But that was fun. Yeah. It was fun knocking out those main event matches. Not a whole lot to them, but just trying to do them justice. Make sure everybody knows that, hey, those matches happen too. The pre-show guys count too.
We are completionists, so to me, it's a part of the card. It's the show. It's at St. Pete. It's there. It's just getting the crowd warmed up, and it didn't work, obviously, because that crowd was dead almost all night. But it's always cool to check those out. I never really watched them, but
look at that card, Steve. Now that I look back on it, and it never really got going. It never really took off beyond really the Johnny B. Bad match. It started peaking there, and that was it. That was the peak maybe of the whole show. And because Sting and Luger worked twice and all this other shit that we were fed on the show, where were the Dean Malenkos and the Eddie Guerreros and even Benoit? I mean, yeah, where were all of these guys on the show? That match, that cruiserweight style match, if you will, that we've been getting on Nitro every week that really keeps Nitro going. We didn't see that here tonight at all. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, I told you this is going to be the peak right here, Johnny B. Bad and DDP. I will say the Luger and Sting and Harlem Heat match wasn't that bad.
I found it to be watchable. I mean, that's as highest regards as I can give it.
Compared to the rest of the card, like those are the two matches that you may want to go check out. But other than that, you're not missing anything here, unless you like looking at Ric Flair's ass. That's all that match was, and then Hogan and Giant was just.
You can watch Lex Luger walk up and down the aisle about 17 times before that Roadies match.
Yeah, you can do that. The Hogan match was just an angle, so it's just there. But yeah, this show sucked. They're like 0 for 2 in the last two for
Clash and
this one. They're pretty brutal. So,
96 is not starting off with a bang for WCW. They need some help pretty badly at this point.
Time for there's going to be much better.
Time for billionaire Ted to start shelling out some money and buying some talent from elsewhere.
It's kind of ironic too. Like, can I buy some of these superstars? And then all of a sudden he starts buying the ones that they hype the most in the videos outside of Shawn Michaels. So it's careful what you wish for, careful what you discuss, Vince, because it may just happen one day.
Right.
But we'll save that for Monday Warfare.
And that wraps it up, guys. Another pay-per-view in the books. I had a blast, Steve, talking with you anyway. Maybe not so much the show. That Clash was a little rougher than Super Brawl to get through, but still, like you said, they're 0 for 2 here in 96. I hope it can only get better.
Oh, it will. And I will say this show isn't as bad when you're listening to it. If you're listening to Tony and Bobby and those guys, they can distract you a lot from some of the garbage that you're watching. So, yeah, it is what it is, but it's not very good to watch and actually focus on.
All right, guys, that wraps it up. Again, another pay-per-view in the books. Up next will be Uncensored 96 and In Your House, the February In Your House pay-per-view. And then after that, WrestleMania 12. I do not look forward to trying to call that Iron Man match. But
I don't either. We
have to come up with some
stuff to talk
I don't
about.
really jot down material for these shows, but I may have to jot down some material for that match right there because I don't know, man. That's going to be a tough one. It'll be a first. That's for sure.
To be honest, man, when it comes to that show, I watch up into that match and then I turn it off. I don't even watch the match because I know how it goes and it's kind of boring. And I remember getting it on pay-per-view and thought it was boring. So I haven't really watched it. I think I've maybe seen that match maybe 3 times. But I've seen the show probably about 20 times. So that tells you everything you need to know about that match.
Yeah, I probably haven't watched the show in more than 20 years, but I did the same thing when I did used to go back and watch it because I enjoyed a lot of the undercard stuff, especially around that time period. And I too would turn it off, or I would fast forward to the overtime part where Shawn Michaels won the title. And that's pretty much as far as I went with that match. I think I've seen it one time from beginning to end since I watched it live. And that was in recent years. I think it was on the network, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to let this play. I'm going to see what happens. And I was like, wow, man, by the time I got about halfway through it, I'm like, I can't do this. And that was Pat Patterson's masterpiece. And we'll I don't want to get all into that right now, though. We'll talk all about that when we get there. But you guys just keep coming back, checking out the Monday Warfare show. We'll continue to talk about the WWF and WCW Raw and Nitro that lead us to these pay-per-views. And until next time, Ray Russell for Steve Eckstadt. Thank you guys once again for being members here, subscribing to the All Access tier and the Watch Along series.